Today's guest is Jabar Fairweather. Jabar has over 20 years of experience in the real estate industry and has done everything from fix and flips to buying and selling rental properties, wholesaling properties before wholesale was really even a thing. He has survived a market cycle in the past, and we may be coming up on another one here. We talk a little bit about that. If you're from the Philly market, I'm sure you already know this man and have either done a deal with him or at the very least know who he is. He is a great connector. He knows almost everyone, and he loves connecting other people where they're able to pool resources together. I'm thankful to have had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Jabar about all things real estate, all things wholesale, technology, Bitcoin and crypto, and everything in between. There's a lot of golden nuggets in the following conversation. I hope that you enjoy. To support this podcast, please just like, follow, comment, share, and enjoy the episode. What do you think started Bitcoin?
Usually rebel, smart genius, a long time ago, some smart genius, maybe from MIT, like Facebook, or Harvard, somebody really smart who's a rebel. And they said, man, fuck the system. I'm going to do my own thing, and started it. Because every time I meet smart people, they're not financially smart.
Fair.
If you got 10 Harvard people in the room, you got one mind. You got 10 Yale, 10 Harvard. They all been taught by Yale. This guy been taught by Harvard. They have no different of opinion because they only see it from one view. They never suffered. They don't know economy of scale. They don't know what it is to hustle. They never had to. Their whole life, they just went to school, read out of a book, followed the rules. You can't drop them in the middle of the ocean and say, yo, survive or anywhere because they only know what should happen. But until you really walk into a house of somebody who has roaches, rats, fleas, and you got to sit there and talk to them while the roach is crossing your feet and the flea is jumping on your neck and the bed bug is biting your ankles and keep a smile on your face, say, man, I like what you did with the place.
Gives you a whole new perspective, doesn't it?
No one
gives you a whole new perspective.
can tell you that you can't look at them and judge them for how the hell do you live like this?
Yeah.
And you got to go. I remember I went into the kitchen. I was with Dan. I went into the kitchen of his house in West Philly. I remember it like yesterday. And I turned the door had curtains on it. And I moved the curtain and there was a square of all roaches jumping and dropping out. And the lady was behind me. Oh, you just turned the doorknob. And I'm like, oh! And all the roaches hit my hand, fell on the floor. She's like, oh, I'll sweep that away. And I opened the door. I wanted to throw up. And I'm like,
don't worry about that, honey.
I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm going to leave the door closed. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, I don't even want to see what's going outside. They ended up buying the building and had to fumigate it like 7 times.
Really?
There was raccoons, rats, roaches, everything. It was so crazy because she had cats. And she would let the food just lay on the ground. And I'm going, how does the cat's not getting the rats and the roaches? But the cat was like, man, I'm done. I can't.
The cat was like, I don't even want to live here, man.
Oh, but in that situation, you can't show any personality. You can't be upset.
No.
And I'm just talking to her like, listen,
listen,
you've been here a long time. I'm here to help. What would you think is a fair offer to the house? And in their mind.
Did you have this conversation sitting down on the couch?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my man.
Listen, we sat down.
I love it.
I had a buyer with me. I had the buyer with me.
I was a little itchy, but I wouldn't even scratch it.
Listen, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to show any emotion because all I kept thinking was they're used to that.
Yeah, right.
So now how can I come in this situation and then disrupt?
You can't be offensive, yeah.
And I got to sit there and act like I'm sitting on this couch that I know is covered in fleas and ticks. Yep. And I was just like, you know what? If I can get this under contract, I'm good. Got it under contract. Dan bought it and, made $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, whatever it was. And I always tell people that was because I gave so much because I didn't even want to argue with her. Because in my mind, I'm thinking you need as much money as possible so that you can get out of this situation and get into a way better. Because I'm telling her, like, maybe this house is too much house for you. She's like, oh, the kids are grown. They're out of here. I'm like, yeah, it's just you. Is your husband around? She's like, nah, he died. I'm like, all right, well, listen, because it was an estate sale. In my mind, I'm just asking questions, but I'm acting like that's not the reason I called you.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know your situation. I just want to know if you might be interested in something in your house.
Yep.
And she's like, well, come through and look at it. And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, yeah, they want me to go into a home. I don't know. I said, listen, if you go in a home, it'll be taken care of. You can take your cat with you. You and the cat can get out of here. And that was my daily, weekly routine. Now tell somebody from Harvard to go do that.
Yeah,
or Yale.
No, it's totally different life. Totally different life.
I had a Yale person who had 2 degrees from Yale come into the pharmacy business. When my partner got killed, and he came and he didn't know nothing about business. All he did was work at Yale for gallstones. That was his research on gallstones. I said, what the hell? He's like, I studied gallstones and I wrote papers on it. I said, what? And I'm here with a multi-million-dollar business, and he's sitting here going, I don't know how to balance the books and do what again? And looked at me like I had 3 heads on. I'm like, you got 2 degrees from Yale. What are we talking about here? He's like, you want me to perform surgery? I could do it. But you want me to run a business selling pharmaceuticals, pharmacy drugs? Nah, I can't do that. And I walked into the business, didn't know nothing. I know nothing about drugs except for talking to people, having a relationship, and building relationships with people in marketing.
And that is a massive skill, though, in and of itself, right? So like that just goes, yeah, there's specialty things that people immerse themselves into for their entire life. And that may suit some people very well. See, like I'm on the other end of the spectrum, right? I don't think I'm good at a lot of things, right? Or I wouldn't say that I'm an expert at almost anything, but I'm good at almost everything that I do, you know? And I know a lot of people say, no, like it's better to be like a master of one thing, to be a doctor and just be able to do this. And you know, you don't need to be able to diversify.
Did you hear the full quote?
I know the full quote.
The full quote ain't what everybody
The full quote's a hell of a lot better.
Right. And everyone's like,
hell
Jabar,
of a lot better.
You're not a master of anything. I said, I'd rather not be a master at any one thing and be a little bit of everything.
That's right.
Because if you take me to any business, I don't care what it is, mortgage, pharmacy, anything there's a product to be sold or something for someone to pay you, I'm going to sit down and have a pen and paper and say, okay, start with our ideal customer.
Yep.
Where's our customers? Who's the people with the money, and how do I get to the people where they are? Not, I'm going to open up a store, I'm going to have a business, and I'm going to say, I got the best pies.
Yep.
Well, if no one tastes the pie and have a big mouth like what happened with, what's the name's pies? Sweet potato pies. This guy came on Instagram, and he said, oh my gosh, Patty LaBelle pies are the shit. That's $12 million off of somebody who got paid nothing to eat your pie, but he had a nice following. I think he had like 100,000 followers. And those 100,000 followers made her $12 million. So Patty LaBelle went from no one talked about her, her music was, no one was following her, no one was doing anything, to now being for like 2 years straight, having the #1 pie sales for sweet potato pie.
It's ridiculous.
How do I know? Because I'm a student of the game. I study marketing. Anytime something happens, I go, wow, what happened? Oh, well, he ate the pie, and his reaction was, Patty, oh my goodness. And because of that, people shared it, they laughed about it, but then they're like, is that pie really that good? Then they ate the pie and was like, yo, Patty's pies are good. Same thing with the pharmacy. When I was doing pharmacy, I do real estate, the first thing I say was, well, how's your interaction with Jabbar? And they'd be like, oh man, Jabbar did this, this, and this. He called the title company, the mortgage company, the appraiser. He showed up at the house when the appraisal was done. He did this, this, and this. And I'm like, and they're like, and the other guy, he never even read the contract with me. Oh, the guy before just had you sign the contract and told you he was going to get the money. What'd Jabbar do? Oh, Jabbar read down the whole contract, had me initial every paragraph. Look, this says this says this. Here's when your deposit's supposed to be in. Here's what this is going to happen. We're going to close in 60 days, 30 days. It might be extended because on this little check, it says if something goes wrong with the title, I got another 30 days. I think I can close before then, but I might have some contractors come through and I might have some other investors come through because I might decide to sell the property.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the customer experience even matters in wholesale real estate? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? Because that's not what the gurus will tell you.
Oh my gosh, listen, I've been following all the gurus since, what's the guy's name? Since Freedom Soft. So Freedom Soft and the guy who
talked about this.
Yeah, from Freedom Soft, when he paid $3,000 for Freedom Soft and $300 a month, and they were just like, send off offers. And I'm like, so that's all you do? Press a button, send off offers? And you get a bunch of phone calls from a bunch of people you don't know, and you're just calling them back, and you're making all these offers, and then you start to realize, like, if I just stop doing volume and do quality, I'll make the same amount of money with less amount of me running all over the city of Philadelphia. So for me, when I started in real estate I started in 96 with for Bart, and I did property management, didn't know I was doing property management, but in 2000.
I didn't know that I was doing property management. It's a whole nother story.
Listen, I was a smart kid that didn't think about real estate or anything. I was just like, I go to Drexel, I'm gonna be an IS major, I study computers, and that was all my theory was. But I always had common sense. A little bit of common sense was that. So when I went to Drexel, it was funny. I remember going in as an engineer. I had a scholarship to be an engineer. I get there my first day, and they have like the podiums where everybody's sitting, engineers on this side, doctors on this side, whatever your major was gonna be, you move to. And I'm in the engineering room, and the lady's like, I said, what's this corner here? She's like, oh, that's IS. There was like 15 people sitting on the bench. She's like, yeah, this is a new thing we're doing. It's IS, Information System Technology. And I was like, well, what's this? Oh, that's mechanical engineering. I said, there's like 2,000 people here. She said, yeah. I thought about it. Now I got to compete against 2,000 people or 15. I'm changing my major. And she's like, you can't. I said, yes, I am. She said, your scholarship. I said, I don't give a shit. I'm changing my major. I'm going to IS. And everyone in my family, everyone's, Jabbar, I said, first of all, and I told the lady, it's my life. You need me to talk to the dean? I'll go talk to the dean. What? And everybody's scared of him. I was like, if I'm going to spend my next 5 years of my life in this school, I don't want to compete against 2,000 people. And every year, another 2,000 people come in, smarter than me, 4.0s.
Yeah, because you're not competing against them in school. You're competing against them for the rest of your life.
But yeah, like, so now for 5 years straight, every year, 2,000, 2,000.
Added into the mix.
And some genius who's 12 years old or 14 is going to pop in who read the book since he was 2. And here I am trying to struggle with calculus.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll take door number 2. Met with the dean. You're going to lose this scholarship. I said, I don't care. I'll pay for it myself. I'm going to be an IS major. So immediately I changed my major. The biggest problem people have is they have a problem making people uncomfortable.
People have a problem making people uncomfortable.
Even if it affects your life.
Okay.
Even me, when I was dying,
I agree with that statement.
I didn't want to call anybody. People was like, Jabbar, you didn't call? Because I don't want to put sadness in your life. So I don't want to call you when I'm dying and be like, yo, I might live, I might die, I don't know, I'm in the hospital. And I was thinking, May 2nd, I was thinking to myself, when I was on the hospital bed, I was thinking like, damn, do I call anybody or I see what the doctors say first?
That's deep, dude.
That's deep. Said, you know what? I don't want to fuck up everybody's day. I'm going to sit here, talk to the nurses and doctors, and then see what I'm going to do. I didn't call my mom, I didn't call my sister, I didn't call my son, I didn't call anybody. And everybody's like, but Jabbar, I'm like, that would ruin your day or your life. I don't know what you were doing. Now you're going to tell your job or tell whoever, I got to go. My son's dying. And maybe I live. And maybe I die. But at the end of the day, I don't want to fuck up your life. And the same thing people do throughout everything. You're like, do I inconvenience this person or do I not? So when I was at that moment, I've always been the person that goes, if it affects me, I'll do whatever it is. If it affects you, I'll think about it and be like, But then if it's something you need to hear, I'm going to say it. You can be mad at me. You can say, Jabbar, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. You don't know my life, but I'm going to say, Drew, you spent $200,000 on this. You might want to get a return on it because yes, you have the money now today. Everyone starts when they have all the money in the world and they're not worried about it. But in 5 years, 7 years from now, if you don't get that return back, you're going to look back and say, I missed opportunity costs.
For sure.
A lot of VCs I'm talked to, they talk about opportunity costs and they're like, Jabbar, there's opportunity costs on money.
For sure.
So if I have $1 million stuck in this project, I want to make 5X, 10X. And in our real estate, we never heard of stuff like that. We think 10%, 20%.
Right.
We're not thinking on 10X and 5X in our money, but they look at
it's
it
a
like,
different world.
Like, Jabbar, if I put 200,000 here, I need $1 million to come out.
Yeah.
Yep. And that 200,000 that you have sitting here might have been the possibility that you could invest with this guy, give him 200,000, and he turns it to $1 million.
Yep.
So I always look at that. And always because of the people I grew up around, it was just like Drew DeMarco. Drew's one of the top buyers of houses. Back in the day, I worked for him in 2001 when I worked at Coldwell Banker. I got my license. It was just like he'd buy 7 houses a week. I think now he's at 997 or 990 properties. But he had them way back in the day. And people are like, I'm like, no one bought more houses than Drew. And it's just like, I was lucky that I was around.
I like the sound of that for some reason. I don't know why. Nobody buys more houses than Drew. I like that.
Good catchphrase. But it was just like he had a system in place. And then I tell people like, yo, his system was real simple. You know, when I started working for him, I was like, there's no way you could buy houses for no money. And he's like, yeah, you can. And I waited a whole year not buying houses because I'm like, there's no way you can buy a house with no money. Because what I learned in a book was you have closing costs, you have a down payment, you need to have a 720 credit score. You have to have this and this in place. And he's like, screw all that shit. I can sell you the house. You work for me. You're my agent. I can give you a commission, and I can give you seller's assist. It's 8% to buy a house. I can give you 9%. 3% seller's assist, 6% commission. I went, what the fuck? Wait. No, you can do that? He's like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, shit. I'm buying houses with no money. All I had to do was have the money in my account. Money comes out my account. He cuts me a check as settlement for my commission, 3% seller's assist. I go, use that, and I get a check back for $1,000, get all my money back plus $1,000.
It's a beautiful thing.
And each house was turnkey. It had a tenant in there.
I love
So it was already, and it was Section 8. So immediately got everything changed over. The next month, the money came into my account, and I had this house. And I was like, he's like, now buy another one. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, now buy another one. And I was like, no, how am I gonna do that? He said, now your income just went up $1,000. Hey, and let's do it before it's recorded, before it hits your credit report. Wait, what do you mean before I hit my credit report? It's gonna take about 60 days for it to hit your credit report. You can buy 4 this month. No. I bought 4 the next month. So every month I was buying 3 or 4 houses, and as it did hit my credit report, I had a lease in hand that showed that Jabbar's income just went up $2,000, $1,000, $1,500.
You were putting them in your own name?
Yeah. I didn't know about LLCs. He didn't tell me. He was just like, buy the fucking houses. And I'm like, all right. Then when I got to 10, they're like, now you got to put them in LLCs.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no one taught me that. I would have did that the first time.
Right.
But, and this time we were paying, this is how long ago it was, 11 and 10%.
Okay.
For interest rates, right? Back then. But because I bought 10 vacation homes, my interest rates was 7%. And I paid down to points, so it was 6.
Okay.
So when everybody was paying 10 and 11 on investment properties, people don't know this back then.
Well, that's also the value of putting them in your name personally as opposed to an LLC, right? So
yeah, and
if
I was
you
just
have the income to support it and everything, hell yeah.
And I was just like, he's like, don't worry about that. And I'm like, no, but he's like, you're getting 6% on investment properties, which I did not know at the time was like, they were paying 12, 11. He's like, what are you talking about? I used to pay 15.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, put them in an LLC, a company name, and this is what they bang you for. And you had to put 20% down. And I was just like, oh. But at that time, he was buying, I think that one year he bought 150 properties. During 2007, 2005, 2008, he bought 150 properties.
That's gangster.
And I was telling people, like, just imagine that. When everybody was selling their shit, he was buying.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when people don't understand the actual process. Like, when there is a destruction or everything's blowing up, people are buying because they're getting it at the cheapest you'll ever get it. Mm-hmm. And then now you hold on to it, and then when it's time to refi, he put them all in 15-year mortgages. And I was like, but you're paying an extra $100 a month. And he's like, but I'll be done in 15 years. Yeah. And I never looked deeper into the process because at that time I still worked at my other jobs. I still went to Drexel. So it was like I had one foot in the real estate, but not totally on the real estate because I was just basically like, when I graduate, I'm going to make $65,000 a year. Can't wait to graduate. And I remember back in the days, like, that was a lot of money back then. Like, oh, man, you're going to make $65,000. Yeah, that's what it was. And then I'm like, real estate? Nah, I'm not doing real estate. But when I met Bart, I think, did he own Delaware Avenue at the time? I think he bought Delaware Avenue at the time. And I was just like, he told the story, he bought Delaware Avenue for like $450. And I tell people, just think about that. He bought a whole avenue for $450 and nobody wanted it, or $250 and nobody wanted it. And it was just like, Delaware Avenue? And now, like, look at it. You know what I mean? But it's like having that foresight that everybody trips on in real estate. Like, where's the growth going? And when you're in real estate, you got to pick, I tell people, pick your zip codes. Don't just pick it because someone tell you to. Pick it because of how you feel about it, like where you want to be, how far is it from your house, how far is your help, your contractors, and then also if you're predicting where the market's going to go.
Yeah.
I'm so old in the game. I'm when Fishtown, nobody wanted Fishtown. Steve Ashesky bought Fishtown. I was competing against him. I'm at Drew's office. Steve's buying these houses for $15,000, $10,000, $12,000, $6,000. And I'm going, no one wants that piece of shit. I'm buying in West Oak Lane, Mount Airy, Germantown, Olney. My shitters were the properties in Logan.
Okay.
That was what I call my shitters in Logan. And he's buying in Fishtown. I'm like, oh, you just bought on the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
I get an appraisal back.
Times have changed.
Oh my God. I get an appraisal back for $65,000. He gets an appraisal back for $200,000. I was like,
in Fishtown?
In Fishtown.
When it was still a shithole?
No, when it popped.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
So I was laughing, and he said, so what's yours appraised for? I don't want to talk about it. And he's like, oh, mine's just appraised for $200,000. Hey, I see you just sold yours for 75, but I paid 50 for it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm all in that one for 40. And I was just like, he bought.
Talk about a kick in the nuts, right?
Oh my God, he bought 20 houses for under 15 grand. And I was making fun of him for every deal. And at that time, and I didn't know too much about real estate. I was just like, I'm buying 4 a month. The 4 I bought this month is worth $150,000, $200,000.
I got equity, baby.
The 4 you bought, you're 60 grand. And they're going to steal everything out of it.
Yep.
But then that's where the flow of the houses went. The movement went there. Now you can even Kensington, West Kensington. I remember somebody was telling me about West Kensington. I'm trying to tell somebody, I'm like, listen, I learned about Fishtown. If you can buy anything close to Fishtown, just buy it, sit on it. And I had guys who were buying in West Kensington, and now the houses are worth $400,000 or $500,000. I'm like, what, Kensington? But I just couldn't. I always tell people I always go where I'm comfortable, right? But I also know if I have extra money, and you could just stash it or land bank the money, because you never know when you look back up. Because we think time is so long. 2 years, 5 years so long. Well, guess what? Look at yourself 5 years ago. What were you doing? Where were you at? And what deals did you pass up that you didn't buy that now you're like, why didn't I get that again? Because you had the money, but you didn't let the math tell you what to do.
Yeah.
You let your emotions tell you what to do versus saying, you know what? What's the risk reward? And that's what most people don't do in life. They don't do risk reward.
Yep.
All they do is, this is what I've been doing. This is what I'm going to do. And they're rarely changing that process out.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure you come across deals that you're like, man, this is going to be major. Just like the building we're in now.
Yep.
Like, what made you buy this?
What made me buy this? I was searching for a while, dude. Probably solid 2 years that I was looking. And it took me forever because I was really looking for like a unicorn. I wanted to have something that was like mixed use, that ideally in my perfect world, it's like I would have had something that was office space that also had like apartments upstairs or something, Right. And I looked for that for a long time, and I wanted the office to stay in Delaware County. Our previous office was in Media, so I wanted to stay in the area. Never found anything, and I think I came across this on LoopNet one day, and came, saw it. I'm a Delco guy. Not anymore. I don't live here, but
Right.
Just made a deal with the seller, and I could just it was obviously a shithole like everything that we buy, but I saw the vision of what it could be and everything. And, it's kind of weird because, like a lot of people in the wholesale industry, they have remote sales teams and everything, right? And it's like everything that I built was an in-person sales team. Everybody that worked for the company was in person in our office and everything. And that wasn't really a necessity. That's because it's the way that I operate. It's the way that I like to run things. I like being face-to-face with people. Like, I hate being on the phone even, which is kind of ironic because still I own a phone sales company, and I hate being on the phone. But yeah, so I just made a deal with the guy. And
did you get a wholesale price, a fair price, or you just paid right?
Yeah, I think he had it listed for like 200 or something, and I think I ended up buying it for 180. But part of the deal was down here. I mean, right where we're sitting, there was a 1986 Porsche that I was like, yo, that's coming. That's a part of the deal, man. And there was a Snap-on toolbox, probably like $12,000 toolbox. I'm like, yo, that's staying too. And he's like, no. That's we can do a separate deal for that. I'm like, no, man, I'm out. Peace. And he came back to me like a week later. He's like, cool, we'll do the deal.
No,
do
nice.
The deal.
How would you still have the Porsche?
Still got the Porsche. Still got the toolbox.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I'll do something with it one day.
Listen, they're classics.
Or I'll sell it,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
So how long you been in real estate anyway?
How long have I been in real estate? Look at you turning the tables. 9 years? 9 years, man. I know.
You don't have the gray hair.
I got some of the grays in the beard, bro.
Listen, you ain't got the gray hair yet. I had to shave it all off.
Listen, my 11-year-old picks every freaking gray hair that she sees and breaks my balls. So they're there. They're there.
Oh, how many kids you got?
3.
Oh, wow.
3 kids, 11, 5, and almost 2, my son.
So here's the question. Are you going to teach them about real estate?
I think about this a lot. So my 11-year-old, she's been so immersed in it, even from when she was young. Like she was on job sites and everything from the time that she could walk. Like I love seeing the pictures and memories pop up on like Facebook or whatever, like, oh, 9 years ago. And there's me and Mia, and she like just learned how to walk and she's carrying a shovel on a job site. You know, it's like, so just indirectly by being around it, she knows a lot, man. Like, it's funny. She just went with me. And recently I was flipping a house in Milford, Delaware. That was a whole long story. Buyer backed out last minute. And I was like, I'm not letting the deal fall apart, so I'm buying it. Mm-hmm. I'll close on it, even though it's 2 hours away. Excuse me. Allergy season, baby.
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
best.
of course.
So I decided I was going to flip this thing. It was going to be a $10,000, $15,000 renovation. I was like, cool, I'm going to flip this because I don't want to let the deal fall apart. It's a really easy rehab. And for whatever reason, I had a bunch of people in the last like month leading up to that be like, oh, you should like document more about flips and everything. I'm like, I'm not flipping anything, right? So I bought this and I'm like, I'll just document everything, you know? Right. And a couple times my daughter went down with me and like she's working down there and everything. I'm like, yo, legit, at 11 years old girl knows more than a lot of guys that I've hired, like in construction, like not only more knowledgeable, but like better help than a lot of like grown ass men that I've hired. You know, it's mind blowing. So she's so cool. So yeah, she's learned a lot about real estate. I don't think that I would push being entrepreneurial and being in real estate, or I really don't want to push anything. The only thing that I want to make sure that I get into my kids' minds is to think freely.
Gotcha.
Really. Like,
so I've always been a
there's
freedom
so
fighter.
much like, you know, being crammed down kids' throats in schools right now today. And I don't want to go into cancel territory here.
I don't know. But I'm the guy who blows up meetings. I'm the rebel that's smart enough to know that I'm smarter than you, but will let you think you're smarter than me, and come and wait till the time I have to show you that I am smarter than you in front of a lot of people, so that you know that I know that there is no way you're going to win this. At UPS, when I would walk into a meeting, they go, oh my God, it's fucking Jabbar.
What do you mean? So like, what would you do?
So basically in UPS, I had the best numbers. So UPS at OSHA would come in and OSHA would test you and you had to get a 97% or above 75. Well, UPS made you have to get a 97%. I was the only one they would have ask the questions. I was the fastest supervisor in the history of UPS. UPS been around for a very long time. I got promoted in a week. So I walk into.
So when you say fastest supervisor, you mean fastest
from the day I
to be promoted into that role?
Into the role.
Got it.
I came into a room, I'm handing out the papers, and the guy's like, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, and they gave me my shirt. Jabar Fairweather's been promoted. I went to Drexel University, never had a Drexel kid survive. But I've been working since I was 14 at Martin's Aquariums. So heat wasn't going to stop me. Martin's Aquarium smelled like dog shit in Jenkintown. I worked at a pet shop for 6 years. Y'all pay for Drexel. I'm staying. 106, 112, I'm staying. Everyone quit. 89% turnover rate in my class the first week. I stayed. You're like, yo, you're still here? I'm like, you still paying for Drexel, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm still be here. So I come in the room. I get promoted. They are so antiquated on how they do things. They never changed. I'm coming along going, this is inefficient. This is inefficient. You're doing this is wrong. And then I realized, like, they don't even see that. Like, this is how we've been doing it for years. Well, you're a bum. You've been a bum for 25 years. So Coach prime example. You changed over 86%. I fired everybody on my who works for this PD1. They all do the same thing. They all go at the same pace. They are not motivated. Give me all the problem children. So I took all the 16-year-old, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and 21-year-olds. I had one smart guy who's been there for a long time. He was on my pickoff sorter. And then everything else to New York, to Florida, I put the big, strong, burly guys who didn't have to read, because UPS, you have to check zip codes. You got to know a lot of zip codes in fucking New York.
Yeah.
But if you put a guy who's 6'6", 250 pounds, all muscle like 50 cents in Florida, that has one read, you don't have to go, hey, he got to be in this truck. I put the little 5'6" girl that y'all gave me at 125 pounds, who's going to read every box, who's 21 years old who goes to college, and the boxes are QVC boxes that are light, nothing in. I'm giving her that truck and then putting her with an old man who got some strength behind him. I calculated where I would put people, and they're like, well, Jabbar, how are you running with 4 people? That UPD usually runs with 7. Because I thought about how this should work. So I won every week the pizza or the awards every week. And the reason I lost was because they didn't want me to keep showing up people. Really? And I said, here's my numbers because we got to document things every 15 minutes. I didn't lose this week. I checked my numbers before. Oh, Jabbar, da-da. And I would tell people, they're cheating me because they didn't want you guys to feel bad. Jabbar, you can't say that. And I'm like, yeah, I can. Are you calling me a liar? Yeah, you're a liar.
Yeah, and I beat your ass any day of the week.
And I'm very much that person, but I didn't know. I know how to be diplomatic. Because
really? I don't take you as that.
At that time, no.
Okay.
A young Jabbar wasn't diplomatic. I was basically going by facts because that's all I knew was, well, the fact is I should get the $50 gift card for my people, but y'all don't have to give us the $50 gift card. I'll pay for it myself. Because what they weren't doing was I picked them up, I took them home. I bought an MPV so I could take all my guys home at night.
What's MPV?
Mazda MPV. A van.
Oh, okay.
It was a van. So I bought a van just so I could drop them off at their house.
Gotcha.
Because what they didn't do the research was that the reason why everybody hated to be there is because the bus would leave. So the bus that came, but it left at a certain time. It came at a certain time, it left at a certain time. Well, they lived in round by Broad Nolly, the terminal. That's where the bus would pick you up from and drop you off. I would just go, well, look, I'll take you home. So I run with 4 people who knew they didn't have to worry about getting there on time, leaving on time, because I was the one picking you up and I was the one dropping you off at work. And I'm the one feeding you. So all my money that came in as those gift cards didn't go to me. It went to my employees. So they were like, you give your employees the gift card. I'm like, who else would I give it to? They're the one busting their ass. And over time, it just came to where now they gave me a harder, difficult one. And no matter where they put me to shut me up, it didn't matter because the same process worked. I came, I listened. I had water fights at UPS. Five-gallon bucket fights at UPS. I've hit people with carpets, boxes. I've had fights. Because what I realized is you have 16 and 18-year-old kids that never had a father figure in their lives. I'm like, UPS is the only job you can work at that you can get a degree or become a driver, and they pay for everything. Their drivers now making $197,000, $200,000 a year.
Holy crap.
You've never even been out of high school.
And I have to imagine now they have all that logistical stuff that you were doing. Yeah, it's all technology now.
Yeah, before it was just good old boys.
Yeah.
They've been there 25 years. I'm fighting them because I'm telling them, like, I'm seeing all these issues you have.
Yep.
And I'm trying to tell you, this is dumb.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, she's 5 foot, 100 and some pounds. She should be able to lift 75 pounds. Maybe once, but not 125 times from total gyms coming from Florida. Like, they never put on the logic. They just put on, listen, this is why we do it. Or at the end of the day, what they'll do is they'll throw 4 people in the truck on the receiving side because they got to go home and get the door off. But on the catch side, the people catching the weight, there's only 1 person. Maybe you want to call me ahead of time and say, hey, Jabbar, door 106 is going to get hit real heavy because we just put 4 people because we're shutting down and everybody's running down the trucks, getting everything out. And you got to catch it, but you didn't tell me that because now by the time I realize it, I got 1 person up top, 1 person in the truck. I need 2 people up top, and I need 3 people in the truck. Just communicate that.
Yep.
So what I used to do is take the boxes and put into the communication room. I drag a 155-pound box up into his office and throw it in the room and say, stop fucking sending this shit. And then bury him in the room. Oh, I was vicious. This is UPS. This isn't like a street company. This is the multi-billion-dollar company. But I was so good that the only thing they would do is they won't promote me, which I didn't know the politics of it all. Because I'm like, yo, if I'm the one winning these awards every week, you're making my life harder. Just communicate what you want from me and then help me the tools to be successful. And that's what most people who have a business don't do. They don't put their employees in a position to be successful. They say, oh, go make phone calls. Well, did you give them a script? If you give somebody a script to make phone calls, did you tell them they can go off script? Because if you go script, the people on the other hand have heard it before and they're like, yeah.
Yep.
So when I did a deal on, we did a deal on Master Street, 2500 block of Master Street. The guy he said 180. I was like, no one's going to give you 180. He said, that's what I got an offer. I said, that's a lie. They're going to come back, look at the house, and they're going to give you a 125. He said, Jabbar, you're crazy. To this day, I still talk to the guy. I said, look, I'm going to write you down all the offers you're going to get on the back of this paper. I'm going to tell you exactly what each person's going to say. He's like, Jabbar, you're crazy. You don't know. I said, home investor is going to say this. This I buy homes person is going to say this. I wrote it on the back of a paper. I gave it to him. He came back to me and said, Jabbar, the realtor told me he's going to list my house for $180,000. Da-da-da-da. I said, okay, list it. And he said he was going to drop the price every 30 days. I said that, right? He said, I can't believe it. The home investor guy, he told me my 180 wasn't ridiculous, came in and told me, oh, he needs so much work. He called a contractor. He walked outside. He said, I got to talk to my partner. I said, he has no partner. That's what they're taught. To go outside and say, I got to call my partner, see if I can give you this number. My partner said, we got to get a buyer, which is really a buyer in here, to see, confirm. He went, I'm going with you. Because I told him the truth. I said, listen, I can't give you 180. I can give you 125 because it needs 100 and something worth of work. We're going to sell it for 315.
Yep.
351 or something. We gutted everything out of the house because when I went into the basement, every beam was a different size. There was a 12-inch beam, a 10-inch beam, an 8-inch beam. Throughout the whole house, I'm going, who built this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, it won't pass inspection. I said, if I try to sell it to an FHA person who's going to qualify to pay me the most, it's going to fail. And the floors are like a wave. So when I showed them pictures of the house, there was nothing in it 2-3 stories up from the basement to the top. And I said, that's why we couldn't give you the number you wanted. Yeah. And I said, and your kitchen was closed. I said, we had to open the kitchen up. But as we went to the beams, the house, they've been in the house. His mom owned the house. She had the house from the original times they built the house. And I was just going, how old was she? 70-something years old. He's 50-something years old. So I'm telling him, this house has been the same for over 100 years.
Yep.
Like, what do you want us to do with it? Yep. And we're competing against new construction. But I was the only one who took him from point A to Z on why I had to give him the 125. And I said, if I got more money for it, I'll give you more money at the end of it if we make this much profit. We all went together. We finished the house. We sold it for $355, gave 6% seller's assist. But I was telling people, and I always say, but I provide them with the information and make them make the choice.
Yep.
But the home investor guy who couldn't change, or everybody else, they can't change their script.
Well, yeah, it's not only that, like, and it's so satisfying, isn't it? Like when you have an offer that you know is less than somebody else and they still accepted yours. Like, so satisfying, man. I can remember at least a couple dozen times where I had somebody reach out to me and they're like, oh, Drew, I just saw you market out that deal. You're marketing it out for $110,000. What do you have it for? Like, I've been talking to that seller for a couple months. Like, I offered him $150,000. So obviously you got it less than the 110 that you're marketing it for. And it's like, yeah, man, like I got it at 80, you know? And it's like, oh my God, how? How did you got it for 70,000 less than I offered the guy? It's like, yeah, man, because obviously you didn't fucking listen to what his issues were because the issues weren't the money. It wasn't that. Like, the dude had other things that he needed. In this case specifically that I'm thinking about, there was a house in Chester. It's like, I don't remember what it was. I think the guy had like poor health and he needed to move from there. So we helped him with all that and everything. It wasn't about getting $70,000 extra dollars. It was find the actual issue, listen, care, and you'll be able to get a deal. You
Active
know?
Listening. Hardest thing for people because...
And talk about going off script. It's like my entire philosophy on scripts is... We use scripts to train people that have no idea what they're doing, don't know anything about real estate, don't know anything about sales, to get them up to speed, right? Once they've done enough and, you know, they have had enough conversations where they understand the flow of the things that a seller may bring up or the obstacles or objections that happen, or, you know, they've been told fuck off, you know, 1,000 times or whatever. Then it's like, all right, cool. Now everything that I trained you on, we're going to start backing away off it a little bit, right? Because I think you're right. Like, so much does get lost when you do have that robotic nature. Active listening goes away. It's like, I'm not listening to what the hell you're saying. I just know that the next thing that I'm going to say has to be this sentence or this sentence. And so much is lost in that. Yeah.
Look, and hold on one second. How many bedrooms?
Yeah, let me write that down. Yeah.
How many bathrooms?
Yep.
Motherfucker, you know how many bedrooms and bathroom the house is because that's why you looked it up on PropStream or whatever software. So we don't need to ask that question. We need to get to the pain point. And is it the money? Is it the time? Is it the work needed in the house? Can he fix the house up? And why haven't you listed with a realtor?
Yep.
That's all I need to know.
Yep.
Jabbar, but time out. Don't worry about the script. I'm giving this to you. But what I've realized, what people aren't doing is hiring other realtors. So it's just like in network marketing. What's the best networker? Another network marketer. Someone who's been in the business, heard no 1,000 times, and now they're just, okay, I've been disappointed. My feelings have been hurt. This is the best opportunity here, this water. And you're like, You sure? They're like, yes, this water, I've been taking it for 30 days. They have belief. They've been through it. When you take somebody fresh off the boat, they're like, I don't even drink water. I drink soda every day. So it's hard to get them to understand. So what I always like doing and why I've always JV with people is it's easy for me to give someone who's been making phone calls unsuccessfully to a list of pre-foreclosures and foreclosures to say, hey, maybe you want to stack the list. What the hell is stacking? Stack the problems. Sheriff's sale, foreclosure, behind in taxes, doesn't live at the house. That person's motivated. You get a person so motivated, they're like, yo, if you give me $1, you can have it. My sister lives in the house. She ain't paying me. I can't get her out. My mom don't want me to kick her out. She hasn't paid the taxes. She hasn't paid the water. Water got shut off the other day, but they want me to turn it on. Oh, and the roof is leaking, and she's complaining she's not paying me because the roof leaked, but I ain't got any money, and I inherited the house from my dad who passed away 2 years ago.
Yep. Now that's a motivated person. So when you say list stacking, you mean to define it, right? It's somebody that checks all of those boxes. So they are likely, from a demographic standpoint, to be more motivated to want to sell a house to you.
Correct. Because most people, what they're taught, and all the gurus back in the day was pre-foreclosure, foreclosure. Well, you can be in a foreclosure, pre-foreclosure because you missed one payment.
Sure.
You can be 30 days late. They send a pink slip to the city and say, hey, we're about to file on this person. He missed one payment. Then somebody can catch that up. They can borrow money from somebody to pay the $1,000, $2,000 and get out the situation.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's worth reaching out to them people?
I think it's worth reaching out to them as a long-term follow-up.
Okay.
Not as, if I got to pay my bills in 30 days, they're not worth it. Because I used to send my 1,000 hours a week was to pre-foreclosure. They would say, kiss my ass, leave me the fuck alone, fuck you. Don't fucking knock on my door, because we knock on the doors. You know, me and Josh and Ian would go knock on doors, and they slam the door in the face. When I became one of them, I realized, oh shit, we never answer that shit.
Yeah.
You're not answering the bank. You're not answering your phone because you can't pay it. And you're damn sure not answering the door if some asshole who comes and tells you your fucking failure as a father, as a husband, as a man, and your fucking house is being lost, and you're going, why am I answering your call now? And the people who knock on your door will talk to you like they're saving your life. You need me.
Right. Yep.
I got cash. I'm going to buy your house. And you're like, I got laid the fuck off. That's why I couldn't pay my bills.
Yep.
The market crashed. No one's buying houses.
I don't need your shit.
And you're telling me that I'm not shit. And my wife is sitting on the couch trying to figure out what we got to do.
Yeah. Yep.
And from the jump, you're coming to me like I'm a bum.
Yep.
But I was bold enough to buy 15 houses or 20 houses. I was bold enough to make 15 grand a month. And I worked 2 jobs. It was just the fact that the market changed. I ended up working at WAI, which was an alternator place that was paying me crazy amount of money. And then when the market shifted, they moved. Like, hey, you want to come with us? But we're moving out of Pennsylvania. It's too expensive. Good luck. I was just working there 6 months, and I'm like, what? Then my tenants weren't paying me because they lost their jobs. Then I went to go refi, and no one was doing loans, and they weren't lending anything close to 75%. They were lending at 50%. And I'll tell people, like, unless you've been in that situation to realize banks were in lending, refis were at 50%, and at a 8%, 7%, 10% on the refi, the only thing you could do is sell it. But now the banks, once you called the loans, because I had lines of credit out,
okay,
and they called the line of credit, you're like, I haven't missed a payment. They're like, yeah, we need our 50,000 hours in 30 days. It's a thing here in the line that says if you use it for real estate, we can call the loan, which most people don't realize. That if you use a line of credit, and the bank, some banks, this is PNC, they didn't tell me, I use it for real estate, it can call the loan.
No crap.
It's for your business. So what I had to do, which no one said, write the check to myself, cash it that way versus going to a settlement and using a line of credit to buy a property. So when they called the note, I was like, I gave them, which was dumb on my part, I gave them $30,000 to like catch up. And they're like, no, we need all of it. I'm like, I haven't missed a payment at all. I said, this is stupid. And I just gave you $30,000. Yeah, we're going to ruin your credit. Well, if you ruin my credit, I can't get a loan. And they literally did that, filed against me, not even using common sense. And like I cursed at everybody out. And I said, this is why smart people is problems when people go to banks. They go to banks supposed to lend you money. No, they're not trying to lend you money. They're trying to find A paper. If you're not A paper, even if they cause you to be C or D paper, you have a problem. For $3 that I forgot that it was supposed to come out of account, $3 for the fees of account I didn't use, PNC filed me 60 days late for the maintenance fee of $3. I said, you were sending the letter for that to my mom's house. I lived here. And it was $3. Yeah, Mr. Fairweather, you didn't have the money and da-da-da. I said, in this account here, do you see 50, 38 or 90, whatever the money in that account? And no one said, maybe we should call Mr. Fairweather and find out why he doesn't have $3 in his account that I had left like $300 in and I didn't know it had a minimum of $500. But literally, they caused me to have bad credit. I mean, I couldn't finance things, and the only offer I got was 50%.
So at this time, what did you own? How many properties did you own?
15.
15, all rental properties.
All rented Section 8.
All Section 8. Okay.
I was bringing in over $15,000 a month because I was buying from Drew only 4 bedrooms and up.
Okay.
So I didn't do 3 bedrooms. I just did 4 bedrooms. The only 3s I had in a big, like if they were really cheap, like I had Woodstock Street. He thought it was a 2. I had 6410 Woodstock. He thought it was a 2. Gave it to me for like $45,000.
Okay.
I sold that for like 128. My turnaround was after I told all the banks to kiss my ass and I wasn't paying them, I told all the tenants they had to leave. Problem with that is what people don't tell you is you tell tenants to leave, they don't have any money to leave.
Yeah.
So I had to give them all their security deposit back. So I'm like, look, I'm gonna give you security deposit back and you leave. Gave security deposit back. They left. I went back to the house. I'm like, oh shit, this house needs
It's fucked up.
carpet, paint. So I started doing it. One of my friends who got out of jail was like, yo, Bar, I spend my time in jail learning how to do carpentry. We'll just fix them up yourself. I said, I'm not doing that. I'm a Drexel kid. I don't do physical labor. I said, I do physical labor at UPS. I'm not doing it in my business. He's like, okay, then don't. You're going to lose everything. So I laid the floors, put the carpet in. Because my dad at the time had told me, he was a contractor. He said, I didn't want you to do no labor with your hands. And I was just like, huh? He's like, no, you're going to go to school for engineering or whatever. Use your brain. Don't use your hands. And then here I am, years later, laying tile, putting the kitchen together. I did the bathroom. I did the kitchen. We paint. I found a buyer who I gave 6% sales assist to and paid the 2% transfer tax. So I gave them 8%. They had to come to the table with $1,000.
Okay.
I did the same thing Drew did for me for the buyer. Made $42,000. And the person who helped me is my current friend of mine who she was like, well, how much money you need? I said, I need a kitchen. How much money do you need? I said, I need a kitchen. I need $4,200. She gave me $4,200. And that's how I put the kitchen together. Back then, you could go to Tommy D's and get a kitchen set for like $2,000. It was like little small starter kitchen set. It was, $1,500. My bad. It was $1,500. And I was like, $1,500.
Them days are gone.
I'm like, oh. And I was like, oh shit, I just need this. I need some tile, some paint. Painted the house, put the tile in, did the kitchen. We sanded the floors because the sander rented the sander.
Okay.
Put the floors in. I think it cost us $1,200 to do the floors in the house at that time. So $1,200 for the floors. The kitchen was like $1,500, and then we put the tile in. The tile was like $300-400. The little gray brown tiles that Home Depot had for 36 cents a tile. Boom. Painted the whole house. I think that cost me $1.50 a square foot. Sold it for $128.
So this was the first one, though.
This was
the first one
but
that
it
you
got
decided.
me out the situation.
Okay.
So as everything was crashing in 2007 and shit was falling, I knew something was going on because at that time, which most people don't realize, Donald Trump, Robert Kiyosaki, Barbara, and somebody else talked about, and they were all in the panel, about the bubble. And they all said this cannot sustain. You can't do 3 years, interest-only payments on a property. On the 4th year, when the real payment comes, which people always say with term, buy term, invest the difference. No one does that. Human nature and how people usually act isn't going to say, I saved $400, I'm going to put $400 into some investment. What they go is, oh, I saved $400. Hey, you want to get a new car?
Yep.
Oh, man, I'm going to get a new car.
Yep.
No, I can get a new car with this. It's $400 a month, I'm going to get a new car. No, I'm going to go on vacation to Atlantis. It's $10,000. No.
That's what we do.
So
That's what we do. We were just talking about doctors and lawyers before this, right? Same
Yeah.
thing. Doesn't matter the income level, but yep.
So it's human nature. So my whole human nature is this. I think long term, and I listen when people talk about, like we were talking about AI. I'm an information system technology major. All I do is listen to information 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I obsess about things. So when I looked at the properties, I said, what do I have? I bought them 5 years ago, 2003, 2001, 2000. So now they have this time frame of I paid into the interest. Mm-hmm. And I was a person who paid one extra payment
Okay.
a month. I don't know why. And every 2 weeks. I did every 2 weeks because somebody said, hey, if you pay every 2 weeks, it'll be
because
better.
your mentor had them 15-year notes or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm like, what? He's like, no, trust me. It's going to add up. Well, guess what? Over the 5 years of doing that, It did because I got into the interest, into the principal earlier.
Yeah.
So now when I go to sell them, I'm like, oh shit, I got all this equity, but the problem is I ain't got no money to fix them. So I used the first house to fix the rest.
Okay.
So when it flipped, I took the money and reinvested it.
And what was that timeline like? So you did the first one, you got it off the books and everything. You brought in $40,000, and then did you say, "All right, cool, I'm kicking all the other tenants out now," or did you like have 2 move out at a time so you had some money coming in?
I had no. This was Jabbar not knowing what the fuck to do, and Drew did what all investors does. I'll take them all off your hand for $5,000. I was like, what? He said, no, I'll take them all off your hand for $5,000 over what you owe. And I was like, no, this is worth X amount of dollars. He's like, yeah, I know, but you're in trouble and I can buy them all. And that's what he did. He was buying people's portfolios. Maggie had a portfolio of 50 some properties. He bought all 4. I think he bought 40 from her for like dirt cheap, $5,000 over what she owed. And she was just like, I just need to get out of it.
Yeah,
she kept the
a
10
lot of
best.
people in that spot, are glad to be offered a lifeline like that.
So me, I'm like, but what are you going to do with the properties? What you talking about? Fix them up and put them back on the market.
Yeah.
And rent them back out.
Yep.
Or sell them, And I'm like, and my cousin told me, he's like, why won't you do it for yourself? And I had told the banks, and they're calling me, sending me postcards, because most people don't know why they knew who I was. They were sending me postcards in yellow letters saying, me and my wife drove past your house. ASAP sold. Steve. I said, Steve, you're white. You're not riding in Logan to buy a house for you and your wife. There's no white people in Logan at this time. We're in 2000.
Hey, did you call him though?
Of course.
Well, then fucking A, man, it worked.
And I'm sitting there with him. I said, well, how many letters are you sending out? He said, I got about 2,000 to 4,000 a month. You doing what? I said, I got you. Send me all your deals. He said, what are you talking about? You're in trouble. Don't worry about that. So what I started doing was I started calling all the postcards I got from all the other investors and wholesalers. Because at this time, there wasn't a lot of wholesalers. There was no competition in 2006, 2007, 2008 in wholesaling.
Yeah.
There was none. But if you had Drew, who was a real buyer, who bought, and Josh wanted to get to him, Ian wanted to get to him, and I'm sitting here with him every night trying to figure some shit out, well, cool, guess what? You send me your deals, I'll sell them to Drew.
There you go.
They're like, nah, but what do you want out of it? Yeah, give me 5,000. That's it? At the time, I wasn't thinking he was making 20, 30, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I get
Thinking there's
5,000.
something that works, brings money in and everything. I got financial pressure over here anyway. It makes sense. That's an interesting thing though, right?
So
it's like you got all this financial pressure going on and you're still like, you're not afraid to be like, I can still do other deals. I can still do other things.
Oh yeah. I've had a gun in my mouth one time going to a house and I said, pull the trigger. And the guy was like, what? And I'm like, you can shoot me. He said, open your mouth. I said, sure, kill me. I said, you'll go to jail. I'll be dead. He said, you just brought, because he was a squatter. And I'm getting in the house thinking there's no person supposed to be in there, but this guy's selling drugs out the house. And in all situations that I've gone into, I've been in buildings where there's 3-4 million on the table. I walk past, sign these papers, please. And they're like, Jabbar, you didn't even look at the money. It ain't my money. What's that matter? All I need is my paperwork. I've always been calm in stressful situations because my dad and my mom, and growing up as a Jamaican, in Jamaica, there is no law. You can't call 911 to save you. So if someone's killing somebody, there's no one to stop that person from killing that person in front of you or killing you because you're around that situation. So growing up, just watching and being a part of certain things, it was like, you're in a bad situation. It either get worse or better. You have to make the decision at that point in time. Where's it going to go? So as the world is burning around me, I got a box full of postcards. 2,000 postcards. Each house got 10 postcards a month. Like, it was just crazy because guess what I hit? I hit divorce. I was getting divorced. She was divorcing me. Pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, equity, high equity, absentee landlord. I hit like 3 other ones.
Yeah, talk about list stack. And
so everyone sent me something but didn't understand when I called them back. Was like, what do you got? And they're like, who the hell is this? Just Jabar Fairweather. No, seriously, who is this? Jabar Fairweather. I work for Drew DeMarco. I call Will Banker in the Northeast. Drew buys 7 houses a week every week. What do you got? I got this. Okay, great. I'll sell it to him. Yo, Drew, I got a house for you on 239 East Haines Street. Yeah, you want that? It'll be $36,000. When can I see it? Saturday. No, fuck that, Friday. Drew goes see it. He buys it. How much you want? Just give me 6% or 3%. I don't know. He's like, all right. So not only did Drew pay me 3%, 6%, whatever it was, the wholesaler paid me the $5,000.
Okay.
Then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. Who's doing what I'm doing right now? Nobody. And here I am worrying about going back to work. I said to the wife, before she filed the papers, I said, yo, I'm not going back to work. I've been working my whole life since I was 14. I said, I'm just going to do real estate full time. She's like, no, da-da-da. I said, no, I'm doing real estate full time. So all I did, spend the days calling postcards, looking at properties, sending them to Drew. He'd buy them. Then I sent them to Josh. Then I sent them to Ian. They were partners at the time. Then I sent them to everybody who was buying, Bart, Steve, whoever was buying. Dan, I sold Dan 63 houses, 63 houses, one person, Fetterman. And I was just telling people like, oh no, I know everybody's last name. I know who bought because they were buying when shit hit the fan because they had real money. And that's what people with real money do is in a problem situation, they're getting discounts and deals.
Sure.
So they buy more. And low interest rates, they're not buying shit. They're like, I'm stacking money. And I always tell people, you watch what the people who have real money are doing. That's who you follow. When I was growing up, I was following poor people as a saying because that's what I learned. Get a job, go to school, you'll get paid, you'll make money. Same thing with your kids. You have kids that look at it and one goes, oh, daddy made $1 million last year. I'm gonna follow him because I like it. The other kids are like, I don't want to deal with it. And I tell people, this is the argument I have with people. What made you the $1 million wasn't having a job. But we'll make $1 million, send our kids to school to go make 60, 70,000
Yep.
to be in the same rat race that we got out of.
Yep.
So the generational wealth dies the second generation because you got to make sure that the kids see the good and upside. What most people do is you show 3 kids the same thing. They all look at it. One goes, this is cool. The other one goes, I don't want to deal with that.
Yep.
I was arguing with someone today, and the other day I said, I don't care how much money you make. If your kids are only seeing the problems and the headaches because you're micromanaging, not giving off so you have time for the kids, they look at it like, I don't want to be like you. You're stressed out all the time.
Yep.
Problem with my son is I took him from 2 years old looking at shitty houses. His summers were spent dropping off donuts, pretzels to halfway houses when I was running a pharmacy. And during that time, I ended up working for somebody doing the pharmacy sales. And I was laughing because my son said, I don't want to do that. I said, no, man, He said, Dad, you've had every card of man. You've been free. You've did it, but I don't want to do what you do. So he's a nerd, smart nerd that 4.0 his whole life. And he goes to a college. He just went off to college. He's going to be somebody in college because he's seen only the bad side of it. The good side of the fact that he's never had to worry about me missing any part of the time from going to school. The bad part was he was seeing me dealing with fleas and ticks and coming home talking about, Dad, they got me. But that was because I didn't think about, hey, everything I was doing was myself. I never thought about property management companies.
Right.
Never thought about software that could run the company. I thought, okay, the toilet's leaking. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna send the contractor. Yo, Steve, go fix the plunger and the flange, the flange around the thing is off. It's the toilet's leaking. The chick weighs 250. Fuck, man, I gotta get her out of there. But I wasn't thinking about that. It was Rittenhouse Street. You know what I mean? 34 East Rittenhouse Street. Most people when they tell stories, they can't tell you the street address. I'd be like, I don't believe you. When you tell me a story, I need to know the name, the person. I can look it up and say, oh yeah, he's telling the truth. And situations. I see these people.
I couldn't tell you the address of some of the houses we sold last week, bro.
Well, I'm saying you do a lot of things. This is, you know what I mean? It's the volume, but you know what I'm saying? Like you can tell when people, like I tell people all the time, when I'm around somebody who's making $1 million a month, $2 million a month, they know that I made real money because I can tell you when my fingers turn green. When you count enough money, your fingers turn green. And people go, oh shit. And it's not like you counted $1,000.
Yeah.
When your tips of your fingers get a little brown and they start to turn green, that's when you touch a lot of money. And I used to touch a lot of fucking money. But at the end of the day, it wasn't mine. And then the money that was mine was just enough so I can live a comfortable life.
Yep.
And I always tell people, you got to have a balance of taking your son to school. I could take him to school. I could pick him up. I never miss an event. Once I got to that point, I realized that was my happy spot. My happy spot wasn't making $100,000 a week. My happy spot was making about 75 to 150 a year, being able to do what the hell I wanted to do. Because what most people forget is it don't matter if you make $10 million a month. If you can't go anywhere, I can call somebody now who makes, let's say $30,000 a day. And I can say, hey, let's go to Vegas. I can't. You make $30,000 a day. You're damn near making, $300,000, $400,000 a month. What you mean you can't go to Vegas? I got all these responsibilities. So what are you making the money for? Like, that's the part that I try to tell people. There has to be a point where you balance that out from the life you want to live and how much money you have, because what they did a study was the most happiest people are between 75 and 150 grand. It's not the million, 2 million. Because as you're chasing the money, you start to lose sight of what the whole reason you wanted to make the money in the first place.
I totally agree with that.
It's not the money you want, it's what it buys you. Well, how many cars can you buy? How many cars can you drive? Basic fact, NFL, NBA players go broke. Lottery winners go broke. No matter how much the lottery they win. The guy who won the $361 million is broke right now.
Yeah.
$361 million is broke. The guy from the church who gave the church $12 million. The guy from the church who was married who got divorced. Oprah Winfrey interviewed two guys who won like 200 some million. They all walked away with 100 million apiece. After everything said and done, they were broke in 6 years and back at their jobs. They got divorced twice, which was the craziest shit.
That is crazy.
Got married, the first wife, they divorced, so she took half. Then got married again, and that divorcement took half.
Well, there goes most of it right there. So now it all makes sense.
But it's just crazy because no one realizes you didn't get the money to fucking have the money. You got the money to say, I want to buy a nice car, I want to buy a house, I want to make sure my kids can afford to go to college, I want to make sure my kids are comfortable, me and my wife can go on a vacation or two. Well, how much does the car cost every month? How much does the vacation cost? Once you go past that, now you're just chasing because you're comparing to other people. You're comparing what you have. I had a guy, and you know this guy too, he's very famous in our industry, who was burning out the clutch in the car because he met somebody. He made $300,000 on a flip. I showed him a property in South Philly, he made 300 grand. And he met a kid that walked in and was making 300,000 a month. He was so mad, he just got this vehicle and the kid walked in with a Mercedes Benz. And I said, why do you care? He said, you know how hard I worked? And this kid, and he's just driving, depressed, drunk. And I'm like, you're fucking up the car you just bought because now you don't want it because you want to give it back and say it has problems because the kid came in with a Mercedes Benz.
Yeah, I don't even understand that one.
Because he wasn't
just a comparison.
He was so comparing himself to other people because he thought he had made it. Like, I just made 300 grand off this flip.
Yeah.
I made it. And here's this kid who's 10 years younger than him make the same thing consistently a month. I know both of them because the kid now makes $1 million a month consistently. I was just with him. He built a 12 unit. And I know him and he's working for somebody else. And I told him, I said, listen, there's always going to be somebody who makes more money than you.
It's always going to be a bigger fish.
Always, right? You got to see where it is that you're comfortable at and then figure out how you can pay someone else. Because in real estate, you might be the man. But over here in private equity, ain't shit you're doing in real estate. They go 10 times the money. They don't go, I got a 10% return or 20% return. I went to a VC conference with all the biggest VCs in the world, 50 of them. And literally I was there in LA and I literally heard a guy get $2 million for a website. This is back in the day. He had a website that all it did was tell you what you did marketing-wise, how much money you spent, it gave you discounts on stuff. They gave him $2 million.
Yeah, that's not a lot at all. I mean,
but just think about it.
Yeah. No, I get you.
He got $2 million for something.
It's a different ball game, yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, Jabbar, we'll spend 20, 30 million today, and we just need one to hit.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, what? Like, no, we got 10 deals. If one hits, we 4,000 times our money.
Yep.
Like, we're at 10x multiples plus.
Yep.
I'm like, but you just gave him $2 million. He said, yeah, I know. I had 20 million to spend. And the guy got it that day. Like, they signed the contract, they negotiated. The guy from Shark Tank was there. And I'm telling people, like, you know how I got in the room? Of an event that the dinner was $5,000 a plate. Steve was there. He paid 50 grand to get mentored by a billionaire twice. I got there for 10 grand because I paid for the event. I asked the guy, well, how much does the event space cost? He said, oh, well, the deposit is this. I said, how much for the space? He said, well, for the 2 days, 10 grand. I'll pay for it.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
how I got in the room.
There you go.
It was at Oscars, right after Oscars party. Because I've always hustled. So I go, I can't afford to pay 50 grand here, 25 here. But if I could be this, and you can give me this for this, I can think my way through it and say, how can I provide the value?
Yep.
And that's how I've always been to people, is adding value. Because, of course, he's doing this event, and at first, when you do an event or any kind of thing, you got to reserve the space.
Yep.
Well, that's a pain point.
Sure it is.
And I was listening to him. He's trying to get sponsors and all this, and I'm like, I can solve one of your biggest problems. Here's 10 grand for the space. I don't need take up no space in the magazine. He's like, oh, I'm gonna include a spot in the magazine, and he got me on stage to speak about social media, because back in the day, which a lot of people don't even think about this, no one liked to see things on social media. No one wanted to be on Facebook. No one wanted to be on LinkedIn. They didn't want to advertise in a space because they didn't think it was real, or Google or stuff. And I'm like, social media influencers is going to be the shit. Like, that's going to take off. And this is before Instagram was there. And I'm telling people, like, I sell houses from Facebook Lives. They're like, you go live? And here I am talking to people who have billions of dollars.
Yeah. Yep.
And they have no idea about social media. Don't post on it. Don't have it. The only thing they had was LinkedIn. And I'm like, I sold a daycare in 5 minutes on Facebook for $150,000. I made $9 grand. Why don't you teach your salespeople to go live at your properties? You want to get it rented out? Go to your spot, show a live video, show the view, make it an experience. And I explained that for a half hour to a group of 50 different VCs, and they're like, Jabbar, take my number.
But it didn't land, right?
It didn't land, but at the end of the day, what I used it for was the lead to capture all their phone numbers.
Sure.
So I have a video, and I have the phone numbers of 50 of the top VCs in the world.
Gotcha.
Which,
I mean, you're speaking to an audience that you might as well have been speaking a different language or whatever.
And they looked at me
and they didn't have the need or the necessity to be able to leverage those platforms.
They had no idea about building
anything.
audiences.
Yeah.
So you got to build your audience in Facebook. You got to target this group. Here's the group. Here's their interest. They follow, I was telling them at that time, if they follow Grant Cardone, target all the people that like Grant Cardone. Boom. And then you're going to lookalike audience.
Lookalikes, yeah.
And I was talking that shit, and it was going over their head. But because it was going over their head, you know how many people offer me jobs?
I'm sure.
Bar, look, man, I'm going to pay you $75,000. You're going to handle my social media. And I'm laughing because in my mind, I'm like, I'm not handling your social media. I'm never working for somebody in my life again.
Nope.
I'm like, but let me get your number. And that's what I learned about just thinking a little bit deeper in situations is there's a pain point. Even if it doesn't seem like it, someone has a pain point. How can I help that pain point? And how can I be a part of what you're doing and not be working for you? We can do a partnership.
Yep.
And that's why I've always JV with people. People are like, Bar, all you do is JV. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to be the person on the phone for 8 hours.
Right.
You're on the phone for 8 hours a day calling 100 phone calls. I call 25 people or text 25 people a day.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you probably talk to people that you want to talk to.
Yeah, about things I want to talk about.
Yep.
The real estate side of it will come in at some point and they'll say, hey, Bar, I got a house here in West Oak Lane. I know you do West Oak Lane, Germantown, Island. I got one for you. You good with that? Yeah. Yo, did you see the Eagles? Oh, man.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't care. The house, if you tell me its zip code, you tell me how much it is, I got to buy it for it. But I have built a relationship with the person that I know it's going to cash out because I like the person. I don't do business with people I don't like. And all people will let you know their character because at certain time when money's involved, they'll go, Bar, man, I was supposed to make 20 grand on this deal. I could have sold it myself. Can I just give you 3 grand? No.
Yeah. No.
But if I take this 3 grand, we're not working together again. And they don't understand that because in my principal mind, I'm like, you know what? The 3 grand will cover my bills. I got to think logically about it. But you know what? It'll be an easy sell. All right, I'll take the 3 grand.
Yep.
But me and you are done.
Yep. And it's exactly like what you and I were talking about earlier. Like, I still am the handshake agreement guy. I've done it a million times. I've been burned on it dozens of times, maybe even hundreds of times at this point, And that's still my philosophy is, one, I like to do handshake deals with people because it's who I am at my core. And I like to know if the person that I'm working with is gonna fuck me. And if they are, I would rather them fuck me early on in something that, I may lose $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever, rather than 5 years down the road thinking that this is somebody that has my best interests or whatever, and they never even had the ability to screw me. And now there's some glimmer of it on a way bigger deal way down the line. Nah, man, I already eradicated them because I found out on the little deal that they tried to screw me over a couple $1,000. Peace, you're out of my life.
Oh, and I tell them all the time, most people don't go farther back in my YouTube or whatever videos to see that I had a 550 Mercedes-Benz that I had every brand new car or vehicle and possible, and that I was at every big 550 people in part of the city. So I threw back my throwback pictures. Hey, where the hell were you at? Oh, I was in Africa for 2 weeks. Where the hell were you at? Oh, I was in a penthouse. Oh, the biggest penthouse in the city. No, Jabbar. I'm like, no, I was in the biggest penthouse in the city. It was $5,700 a month, and I was in that. And they don't go like, oh shit, like I've had tons of money. Now I just wear a t-shirt and say, all right, I wear t-shirts every day. I used to wear a suit and tie every day. Then I got to the point where I'm like, why am I wearing a suit and tie? Most investors I meet are with a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah. No,
When you get to another level of money, you start to realize
it is funny, isn't it?
these motherfuckers look like bums.
Yeah, it is really funny.
And then you're like, and they're like, yeah, Jabbar, I seen you with this bum. I'm like, that guy owns half of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yep.
They're like, no, man, he was driving that the Lincoln, the town car.
Yep.
Yeah, he owns half of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't want you to know that he owns half of Philadelphia. And they're like, what? And then I see the guys who come with the brand new Bentleys and everything, and I'm like, you have how much in the bank? Oh, 20 grand. Wow. Yeah, 20 grand.
Not good, man.
I'm like, well, that guy there got like 20 million in a treasury bond, bringing in a guaranteed 3%, 2% on 20 million, 30 million, 100 million. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, treasury bonds. They get treasury bonds. They put 10 million. Every 10 million they make, they put in a treasury bond and get 1% every month guaranteed for the next 5 years. And they keep stacking $10 million. They buy companies for $20 million, sell them for $125 million. And I call them on the phone and they be like, yo, Bar, what do you got going on? Oh, yeah, I was talking, what's that last deal you did that you bought for 20 million? You sold it for 300 million? Oh, yeah, you talking about such and such. I put them on speaker and they're like, and what car you drive right now? Oh, man, I drive a smart car. I bought it in 2017. I paid $20,000 for it. And then he just made $9 million last week. And he's not even blinking at the brand new Mercedes or whatever.
Now, smart car though, that's a little freaking lame.
Listen, it's the size. I spent 7 hours in that car.
Did you really?
I went to,
I feel for you.
Virginia. So during COVID, the Republicans had, who cares about COVID? So there was a big meeting with the head of Goya.
Okay.
Donald Trump's running mate, one of Donald Trump's people. We were in Lynchburg, Virginia. So we drove 7 hours. This is when I was hanging around with all VCs.
Smart car.
7 hours in a car, sitting up like this, and tractor trailer tires was as big as the car. And I'm going,
yeah.
He's like, Jabbar.
That's sketchy, bro.
He's like, Jabbar, put your foot to the gas. I'm like, I'm trying. And my brain's like, this tractor trailer is bigger than the car with the tire. And the whole time we drive together, and I just listened to his stories. He was on a jet and got $50 million from one of the people from Dubai.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, he just said, took me to jet. We flew around. I'm gonna have him come through. I talked to him about it. He said he'd come through. And I'm like, no, I talked to these guys, and I really know them, met them, watched them, tell them stories and war stories, and we laughed about it. But I was telling people during COVID, all I was doing was building relationships during, what's that thing called again? Oh, here's Jack. Hey, Jack. Yeah,
But dial.
And I'm like sitting there telling people like, yo, while I'm with these people, I'm literally learning about them and listening and going, okay, he has this many kids. He got this going on. This kid worked for him. This don't. And I'm listening to the stories and I'm just like, damn, why are you driving a smart car again? Yeah, when I was younger, I had a Porsche. I wrecked it. And every time I had these fast cars, I'd destroy them. And then when you raise $36 billion for a company and you get in the newspaper for wrecking a car, they kind of go, we'll fire your ass if you get in the newspaper one more time. He was one of the head guys for Fidelity Financial. He raised $36 billion for him and wrecked a 911 around a tree in L.A. I think, who was his neighbor? A-Rod was his neighbor at one point, and Scottie Pippen. I'm like, Scottie Pippen? I was like, yeah, But then he realized all I'm doing is showing off for people that don't care. And the people that I'm supposed to be working for are going, hey, if you end up in the paper again, you're fired.
Yeah.
And he's like, what am I doing? So we got a smart car, so we can't go that fast. And it's very efficient.
There you go.
I'm like, I'm still not getting just a smart car.
Yeah.
But he lives in
Could still pick something a little bit cooler, but
gosh.
it's fine. He
lives in a 6,000 square foot home. And I'm just like, I seen his house and I was like, oh shit. And then his family and friends have like 100 acres in the county. Like, they're rich.
Yeah.
He just was in a jet that was like $41 million private jet.
It's pretty ridiculous.
And I'm sitting there going, he said, Jabbar, you know what? You gotta do know everybody. Because I went to an event, a CES event, and I met a guy who was close to World Be Peace, World Be Free. And I was like this, who played for the Lakers. And I'm like, we need to raise $25 million. He's like, oh, what's name got that? So I called him and he said, all right, we'll fly. If he really knows him, we'll fly him out private jet. I said, let's call him. Called him, picked up. Hey, Bar, what's going on? Yo, you know World Be Free? He said, yeah, that's my man. We're right next to him right now. Put him on the phone. Boom, put him on the phone. They talk it out. And they're like, yo, we're going to raise $25 million for this company. And we'll fly you private jet. Flew him out private jet to Boston, show me all the pictures. And they're doing a pharmaceutical company together. And if everything goes through, I get 1%.
Okay.
And I always tell people, their 1%
That doesn't suck.
of $5 billion or $3 billion is a shitload of money. Get into stock options.
Yeah.
Didn't know what that meant. And and this is the thing about as you get older and you start to laugh when people say, well, Bar, you don't live in this. I'm like, listen, I got stock options of this company. So in 5 years, 10 years, whenever they go public, I'll make multi-millions of dollars. But I kind of tell people but until you get the piece of paper, you're looking at it like, I don't know what this is. But then you start to realize like, oh shit, 1% of this is a whole lot.
It's a lot of money.
But you being raised as a quick, you're thinking like, no, I want the cash. He said, Jabbar, you don't want the cash.
Yeah.
No, I want the cash. He's like, you don't want the cash. You want the stock options. And then going into that world during COVID, I start to realize, oh, now I get it. The stock options is, hey, just like my one of my kids I know I raised, he got stock options for SAP. He has 50 grand in value in his stock options. I'm like, what the fuck? He said, no, remember I told you they offered me stock options and some pay, and you told me to take the stock options? I took some of my pay in stock options. He's like, I only contributed 10 grand to this. He's like, but when we got out of COVID or the end of this year, it blew up. And I'm like, shit. And he's like, oh yeah, I get more every quarter. And I'm telling him, don't spend it. Just don't spend it. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like how my life has always been as growing up. It was like I'd run into situations, and instead of running for it, I would say, yeah, I could do it. Like I stopped turning, when younger, I would turn things down and be like, nah, I don't even know anybody who has $50 million. Then I went, oh, I can make a phone call here. Yo, you know anybody who has $10 million? Well, yeah. Oh, hold on. Hey, John, I got $10 million. How much you want to pay me again? And then I realized it's all the same thing with wholesale. You're just moving paper.
100%. And it's obviously, I would venture to say that you are an expert at relationship building, hands down, right? Like, what advice would you give to people, whether they're a young entrepreneur or just starting or whatever, that could be helpful to them in building relationships?
The main thing is find the common love you have or common interest and build from that. A lot of people, I ask questions and they'd be like, oh, I love red cars or I love cars. What kind of car? Oh, man, oh, I had an Acura CL, a red one. I had a Rasa Fosgate speakers and amps, and I had a Fernwood dashboard that came out with the dolphin on it. And they go, oh, Jabbar. And I'm like, what? Like, yo, Acura CL with the speakers? Yeah, during the Greek, I used to drive down the street, man, blast the speakers, had the dolphin flash on the screen wood. Shit cost me this amount of money. On Eastern Road, I had the system put in, and they're like, oh, shit. Oh, what do you like, football? Oh, yeah, I played semi-pro football. Man, I was this. It was an 8% body fat, da-da-da. Oh, you like women? Man, I was getting, shit, I had 36 phone numbers that night. Oh, you like the drink? What's your favorite drink? Oh, da-da. Oh, yeah, I just get a rum and Coke. I'm old school. Let's go get a drink. I find the common denominator of our passion, and not just something you like, but what are their passion? And then look at that and see how you can relate to that in an authentic way. What people do is they do shit fake.
Yeah.
And I always laugh. I'm like, people can pick up when you don't like them or you're just doing it for the money.
Yeah.
I don't call people and ask any of my friends for money. I'll go, hey, I got an opportunity if you want to take it. Drew got a property. It's this. He told me he got it for $125. He put it out for $150. I think $150 is a good number. There's some room. Might not be room. I need to make this off of it. He needs to make this off of it. Because people go, well, why would you tell him that? Because they're going to see it anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
They're going to see when you get the contract, they're going to see the contract.
Yep.
So let me prepare them So I don't have no pushback like, oh, y'all making this. No, listen, homie.
So many things that I hate about the wholesale industry and how people try to just hide things and almost like be manipulative with a lot of things. It's so much easier to just be honest and open with everybody about everything that's going on in the transaction. And it's like, yes, I want to be paid. And yes, sometimes we make good money on it. And it's not hidden from anybody. Everybody knows. Like I have people all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, you're making over that amount as an assignment fee. You're going to double close it, right? So the seller doesn't see." No, the seller knows exactly what we're doing. They knew that we may buy the property, or we may assign it to somebody else, or we may rent it out, or we may flip it. Like transparency makes everything
contract.
so much easier, man.
Listen, have you ever been to a settlement where the other wholesaler didn't tell the seller?
Yeah, and it's the worst.
And you're sitting there, the seller's looking at him, you looking at him, and everybody's just sitting there quiet. And they're like, what's this?
Wait, who's this guy? Who the fuck are you? Why are you at the table? What are you doing? It's so weird, man.
And
it's
I'm
so
sitting
awkward.
there going like,
and I should like it hasn't been that long since that has happened because I have had salespeople on my team that didn't go into transparency as much as I would have, right? So hey, shame on me. Our sales process needs to be improved, right? But we've had them things, and yeah, it's terrible. But like I've never had a situation with a seller ever where they were pissed off that we were making X amount of dollars when everything was actually explained to them. It's like, why do you care? Like, if your belief was that I was buying your property from you, 123 Main Street, you're selling it to me for $100,000, and even if I didn't explain everything to you that we may assign this property and bring in another wholesale or another buyer, flipper or whatever before we close on it, still in your mind as the seller, you're like, Drew's buying 123 Main Street from me for $100,000 and he's going to flip it. I know it because it's a piece of shit. He's going to put money into it and he's going to turn around and sell it and make more money. So in the back of your mind, you already know he's doing this as a business deal to make money. So why the fuck does it make any difference if Drew's going to do that and put some money into it and flip it and resell it and make money, or Drew's going to plug in another buyer and they're going to do exactly that? And I think the disconnect is, oh, well, that means that the seller could have gotten more money for it. No, that is so wrong, man. Like people think that as wholesalers, like you're just stealing the equity of the seller. It's like, no, they could not. I bought this house from them for $100,000. And yes, I can resell it to somebody that is also a flipper or a landlord for $110,000. I can do that because I have thousands of relationships like Jabbar does because I've spent years of my life devoted to those relationships and to marketing and to all the systems and processes that we have. I am able to get $110,000 for it. They are not.
Listen, I've literally had people, let's say you send somebody a deal. You send out a blast and you send it to somebody. I've called people and said, hey, such and such has this property at this address. It's for this price. I think it's a good deal. And they buy the property. And the person called me, Jabbar, he's on my buyer's list. I said, did you call him?
Doesn't matter.
Well, no. Yeah. I said, so did you show him the comps that you had said it was ARV? Mm-hmm. You just put in ARV 350 and didn't explain where you got the numbers from.
Yep.
When I showed him there was a house that sold on the block for $280 and the house for $350 was a block away, he went, show me, and I said it was within the last 30 days. He said, oh, shit, because when y'all send out emails, this is another thing, people send out emails with no ARVs to say, hey, I want $50,000 for this, and no ARVs, people go, well, how much is it worth? And then what we used to do, this is what Josh used to make me do, we had to come up with 3 comps. I had KPIs, and most people don't know what KPIs are, but you'd have KPIs. And I had to show 3 comps, the ARV, and why we put this property in a contract.
Okay.
And they'd be like, oh, Jabbar. I'm like, no, for every property. We looked at 25 properties. I had to do 75 properties as ARVs to see what it was worth. Every house had to have 3 or 4 or whatever, but Ann had to be under 0.25 or 0.5, depending on how far we were out. And they had a list. It had the property, the ARV, how much I thought the rehab was going to be, the distance to each property was. I had to put out the whole zip code and make sure it was 19138, 19138, 19138, and boom.
So what you're talking about, though, like, was this bulk marketing that you were sending out to a massive list of buyers, or this was to, like, 20 or 30 people that you have strong relationships
just
with
20 or
already.
30 people.
Okay, gotcha.
So-
That makes total sense then.
Yeah.
Because I experienced the opposite, right? Because I got into wholesaling backwards, right? I started as a fix and flip guy, started buying rentals, started wholesaling after 5 years into the industry, right? So as soon as I did that same thing. Anytime that we would market out a deal, not only would I be putting ARV and rehab estimates, because I know how the fuck to run numbers because I actually do this, right? I got to the point that I would literally include like 3D floor plans, sometimes like bids from different contractors and everything. And what I learned through doing that hundreds of times is when you're talking about bulk marketing, less information is better.
Yeah, they don't.
Like I don't put ARVs on anything anymore. And the way that I got to that conclusion was by doing hundreds of deals and, testing and A/B testing and everything and seeing,
Because everybody has their
wow, holy crap, I sent out this email to the same list on 2 separate days. And the only thing I changed was on one of them, it had an ARV, it had all of the details, it had a floor plan, it had scope of work, it had budget, it had everything. It painted the whole fucking picture. And this one, and by the way, on this one, I had, 50 photos, a video walkthrough, all this stuff, everything that somebody could want without actually having to go to the property. They didn't even need to go to the property. They had a Matterport, Then over here, I sent it with 2 photos, sometimes, up to 5 photos, no ARV, no scope of work, no estimated rehab, no rental, like how much it'll be able to pull in and rent, nothing. And over here, I got 2 phone calls. Over here, I got 30. When you see that time and time and time again, it's like,
right.
maybe less is more,
So
which
what
was
happens-
mind-boggling to me though, because that's against what logic would tell you.
But what happens is this. What's the most precious thing to an investor?
Time,
So guess what happens when you give them too much information? You
nothing.
don't have time to go through it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all it comes down
But
to.
see, my perspective, obviously it was wrong, was this should save them time because they don't even got to go there. They don't got to run their
but here's
comps.
what
They don't got to
happens.
do this.
Right now, my phone just rang 4 times. Right? Dom, Kyle, 4 times. I literally gave them the person to go talk to help them with whatever situation they're in. I gave them enough information. I gave them the address of the property. I gave the pictures of the property. Everything they need to make a decision. They still want to hear my voice.
Oh, well, yeah.
wanna
And that's what
confirm-
I'm saying. It's different when it's on
wanna
like a
confirm
personal relationship.
What I think about the
100%.
property and did I do the research?
Yep.
When you send all that information, they think you're trying to get over.
True. Fair.
When you send no information, they go, I need to comp this myself. I need to get in there because you know what? I know the address. That's my zip code, but I don't have enough information to make a decision. But I have enough to know if it's this and this.
Yep.
This information overload. Because people with real money, which I said they micromanage, don't think about you should have someone to receive that information to decipher it.
True.
I'm the person who deciphers the information and go, this is a real comp, this is a false comp.
Yep.
And because I have so much history on actually doing the work, when I say it's a $25,000 rehab, they'll believe it's a $25,000 rehab because I'll say, hey, to paint these walls is $192 a square foot, but now people are charging $2.15 a square to paint the house. So it's gonna cost you $3,000 to paint the whole house. The floor should cost you $375 a square foot, and I'll go, hey, you know what? To move these beams is $400 a beam. There's about 15 beams that need to be moved. The electrical box is going to cost you $1,500 for the new box and just connect it. The stack pipe's going to cost $2,500. It used to be $1,500, and now heating and cooling is $7,500 to $10,000 when it used to be $5,500 to $7,500. And to rewire the whole house, that could be $7,000 to $10,000 depending on if you want to get everything done right now. Oh, and that's if it's no sheetrock and they don't have to fish the walls.
Yep.
And people go, Jabbar, how the fuck you know? Because I've done it all.
I've done it, man. I've done it.
And the roof, I'll be like, and you need a new roof. Oh, Jabbar, I'm like, this is the thing people always forget. You need a roof. Just don't silver coat the roof year after year. Eventually, that corner leaked for a reason. This corner is going to leak. And they go, Jabbar, you don't know that. I'm like, it's going to leak. You can repair the roof, pay $500, $700 to repair it. But what happens when that part leaks?
Yep.
Oh, what about the flange and this and that? And they're like, Jabbar, how the fuck? I'm like, I've done it myself by hand. I've been on roofs. I've lifted rubber roofs. I've lifted on warehouses, lifting up and down the steps when I needed money. And I was like, look, I need to make money to pay bills. My man was doing roofs. He said, bro, I'll give you $100. You help me carry up the rubber on top of this 2-story building. $100 what? Cash? He said, yeah. I said, I'll be right there.
Let's go.
Put the rubber up there, got my $100 cash. I got gas money. People don't understand. Like, I would just need gas money. And I'm like, I just need to look at these 3 houses. If one of them's good, I just made myself $5,000. So I did any odds and end job that was physical because it was like, all right, $100. Give me $100. Give me $200. I used to take pictures for Tom Kelly. That's how I got to work with him because I was like, look, I'll take the pictures of the houses. He's like, you would? I said, yeah, give me $150. I think he gave me $75 a house. And then when I was taking the pictures, he was like, I said, yo, I could sell this house. He's like, for how much? I'm like, you know what? I can sell it for this price. And that's really how I got into disposition because I was taking so many houses, so many pictures of stuff. And I realized how everybody else sucked with the pictures. And I'm like, I take 4, sometimes 3 to 4 pictures of room. I've had boxes that had 100 pictures in it. But why you did that? I said, well, this buyer is going to go home at night. He's going to look through all the pictures. He's going to give me an offer tomorrow morning. This buyer is going to have the pictures, and he's going to send it to someone else who needs all the pictures from New York, and he's going to give me an offer tomorrow morning. Every person I talk to, I know exactly what they're looking for, what they're qualified, what they think, and how, because I literally talk to them every day. People are like, Bar, I'm like, listen, my job and what I've learned is to connect with people, find their pain point, and alleviate the pain. And now, as long as I do that, I'll never run out of money.
Yep.
I don't advertise. I have no advertising. The only advertising I've ever done is social media stuff. And by doing things, I show people that I actually do it. And then they call me and say, Bar, man, I got this 9-unit building. I don't know what to do with it. All right, you're going to get ductless things, heating systems. It's going to cost you $1,500 a room. You put the ductless in. You're going to put it on 4 up here, 4 on the bottom. It's going to cost you this. Oh, the sheetrock's going to be this. You know what? Don't change the sheetrock. Just skim the fucking walls, sand the floors, just put a bare minimum in, and don't do a complete rehab because you'll end up like everybody else. Was what other people do is they go in and they rip everything out because the contractor says, we should rip everything out. Well, now you just put $500,000 in a building that you only need to put $250 in. Just so you could have even floors? You're on Broad Street. Fuckers don't have even floors. Or like, what are you talking about? When you do the hardwood floors and you sand the floors, if you need to, you could put a brand new layer on there to make it even. Called leveler. You pour the leveler on, it slides to right or left, and put the floor on top of it. Boom, I saved yourself fucking $3,600 for this floor. And they'll be like, oh shit, I didn't even think about leveler. What the fuck is leveler? It's at Home Depot. You pour it, it'll level your freaking floors.
Boom.
And they're like, no, but he told me I need brand new floors. No, you don't. You need the leveler, and then you can lay the floors down. Lay the vinyl fucking down.
Yep.
And they're like, but why would he want me to pay $3,800? Because he's going to pay $1,500 to level the floor out this way versus the $3,800 you're going to pay him. And they never think that way because what I tell people, why is this person telling you this? Is there a financial benefit for them for why they're telling you this? Every time I get a phone call and somebody calls
always
me,
yes.
Jabbar, you got time? Do you keep your options open? No, I'm not doing any network marketing. No, Jabbar, but this company's been around. No. How many years? Yeah. And they go into the pitch mode.
Yeah.
I'm like, Amway? No. Oh, vitamins? Oh, free workouts. Yeah, we can work out for free. And you take what shake now? And I'm like, listen, I've been in 17 network marketing companies. 17.
Well, maybe that means you're the perfect person to pitch then.
Of course. I am.
Salespeople are the easiest people to sell. I mean, that's like a statement, and I definitely find it to be true.
It's I'll buy it. I'll be like this. How much is it? I mean, someone called me. I think I took it off. Called me for something you put on your neck or spot patches, right? And I'm like, because I was sick, and he's like, yo, Jabbar, did you ever try patches? I'm like, patches? What patches? What are we talking about here? He said, you put the patch on. It's $100 a month. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm about to die. Who cares? I'll buy the damn patch. I got tons of patches in my house.
What is this? A patch for what?
A patch for health or some shit. You put it on your neck. You put one on your belly, and it gives you something, right? And I watched on Shark Dave Ramsey, and the guy's doing the cups. And the cups, you pour water in it, and then it could be anything, vitamins. But it's just a new release system, and they have a patent on it, right? And it comes in envelopes of little round patches. And I said, I'm paying $100 a month for some damn patches. And I'm taking all these pills because I just didn't want to take pills anymore. I got 5 pills I take a day. Everybody had a heart failure May 2nd. And I'm telling them like, whatever. So I do it, right? I support everybody's. But then you forget how much money you're paying for all this. But I do it because of the relationship. Because I hate when you have something you're trying to, even if you don't know if it works, it does work, and you're trying to help somebody, and it might help, and then someone just says no because it's delivered in a certain way. I'm always like, all right, I got $300 to my name. How much is this? $50. Okay. I think I can make this $50 work. All right, send me the damn patches. Boom, I got the patches. What I learned from Steve Lloyd was the reason why he was doing a network marketing company, because it took him around the world, and that's how he raised his money. He'd go into a room with 50 to 100 people of accredited investors, older people who were looking to take their 401k and invest it in something, and want a retirement return, and he'd go and say, hey, I got this project over here. I need $400,000. And someone would go, I can write you a check for $100. And that's what happened. I use network marketing to help me learn how to read people and how to do sales. I've been in network marketing since 1996, since Amway, since ACN.
So what you're saying is read between the lines.
Because guess what happens when you have to talk and pitch someone to buy something they don't want or need? You get real good at trying to read, like, so your pain point is you need a side hustle to make you an extra $500 a month. Okay, well, this can do it. And they're like, oh, it's bad. I'm like, nah, you can pitch. You can save 10 to 15% on your electric bill. Oh, but then save some money on long distance. Oh, your gas? 10% off your gas bill. That's $60 a month. It's only $300 to join. Don't cost you anything a month. But Jabar, and if you get somebody else to do it, you get 1% or 10% of that money. $6 per person. How many people you need to make $500? 100 people? You know 100 people. Let's make a list of 100 people. And you probably should call the 100 people. And they're like, I don't want to make a list. Well, guess what we do in real estate? We make lists.
Goddamn
That's what
right.
we do all day. Make phone calls. Guess what I did for Drew DeMarco on Pizza Fridays? Call 100 to 200 people out the yellow pages and say, do you want to buy or sell a house? Are you interested in selling your home? Who the hell is this? Jabbar Fairweather, Caldwell Banker at Realty One on Bellberry Road. And they're like, click, click, click.
That was a beautiful phone voice there, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, man.
Can turn it on just like that.
And it was just crazy because all of it led to being able to be this person. And I would tell people, that's how you do it, but it costs thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, I've joined 22 by now.
Yeah.
Network marketing companies where I'm $100, $50, $100, $50. Every kind of Wake Up Now, Power Network with blogs. That's how I learned about SEO and blogs. Power Network, they sold you a WordPress blog that was optimized for SEO.
Okay.
And they would sell it for $25 a month, $50 a month, and $100 a month with different plugins. I was like, and when I realized how much that the damn $5 a month is what the blog cost, and the apps came free, and they just named it.
Yeah. They packaged it.
And made millions.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about $25 million, like ridiculous amount of money, because all it was is that you package it up and say, hey, we have a simple way for you to blog, and while you're blogging, you'll make money.
Yep.
By having a little square patch right here in the corner, and when they click on it, they pay you $25. You get the first month's commission. And I was just like, this is genius. And then they had little packages for $50, $100, and then $1,000, you got this coaching program, how you too can be like them. And I was like, nah, no one's gonna fall for that. Hundreds of thousands of people did. They were the fastest network marketing company at the time in the history of network marketing, because people wanted their own blog and they wanted to be simple. That's the reason why I still like and still have a compulsive to carrot websites. Carrot websites are the easiest things to fucking work with, right? I went to go get a WordPress website the other day. I still can't figure the shit out. I'm like, fuck, how do I attach this domain name to this? And then I go to a Carrot website, which is $69 a month or $59 a month, and the shit's going, oh, just put your number here, press the button, you're connected.
Yep.
That's it.
But that's why a lot of people do it, because it's easy.
Work with Bar was at a Carrot website, and I had thousands of people, well, let's say 200, 300, 400 people, put their information, get on my buyers list. And I was just like, this is easy. They're like, oh, Bar, where you go? Go to work with Bar. It was green. It was easy. You put your information in. And everybody uses it. And I tell people, oh, that's a Carrot website. Oh, that's a high-level website. They're like, how you know? I got high level. I got Carrot.
Yeah.
I got all that
I got
shit.
all of them. Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's easy because they just made it so simple. High level is a little bit more complicated for all you people. It's not for the faint at heart. But it's like you start to realize, like, I still want to go get a Carrot website because I'm like, it was so easy. And then literally what you typed, oh, I want it to be about, so let's say my favorite spot, but I'm not going to use it. Let's say Point Breeze. I want to target Point Breeze. It would tell me that I'm targeting Point Breeze. I'm 100% perfect on my keywords. And I'm like, cool, great. And then it would post for you. It would post blogs for you. You bought the $100 package, which was a $200 package, which had this great sales part where you pay $200, but you don't have to pay $100, and you get it for $149.
Okay.
Get $200 worth of value for $100 or $149.
Boom.
You're like, bet you're gonna blog for me, and I'll do the blogs for you. You schedule it. It goes a blog a day or whatever you want to do it. You get the little content called a content package, and I'm like, this is crazy. And as you start to step back and look at it, the blog costs them $5 or $10, and you can have unlimited blogs in certain systems. They're selling them for $69, $59 a month. The sweet spot, $70, $89 a month, and then $189 or $200 on something they get unlimited rounds.
Yep.
And people pay for it because it's so simple.
Yep.
That's the key to everything with marketing is how can you convey the message, people understand it quickly, and when people have an experience with your product or service, they feel like, oh man, this solved my pain point.
This is easy. Yep.
I can have a website up in half hour.
Yep.
And it's the same damn product as WordPress. And I was telling people, like, that's how I learn things because as I'm doing something or buying something, I'm buying it for the experience, not for just to spend the money. I'm going, all right.
It's a deeper understanding for the product experience as you're going through it because you're not just looking at it from the lens of the consumer. You're also looking at it from the lens of how can I leverage this as a creator, as a business owner, as a whatever. So, yeah.
And people forget marketing. And even when I was doing the pharmacies and stuff, what I learned is people don't value marketing, but they don't understand, that's how the money comes in.
Absolutely.
Someone has to see your sign or your presence to know you even exist. And your friends and family aren't going to support you enough to get you the money you need to make a comfortable life. So you have to talk to 125 people and let people know that you're in business.
Yep.
There's tons of people that do real estate that you don't even know they're in real estate. And you're like, I didn't know you were a realtor. How the hell was I supposed to know you were a realtor? You never talked about being a realtor. When did you get your real estate license? Oh, 5 years ago. And you're like, I didn't get you 100 leads.
Yeah. Yep.
All these deals I turned down, I just gave them to you. And no one catches on like you have to because people make a shame for being a salesperson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like they make you feel bad for doing something that you're like, well, without a salesperson, you wouldn't have bought your house.
Yeah.
Without a salesperson, you would have got your car. Without a salesperson, you wouldn't have ended up in college.
Yep.
That's the biggest scam there is. Tell me someone who graduates college with the same degree and goes in the same profession that they started college with. If that broke that down, you'd be like, shit, 60% of the people that go to college never use the degree.
Yeah.
Every time I ask somebody, what you going to college for? Oh, I went for theology. What money you going to make in theology? Jabbar, and they're telling me, arguing me, and I'm like, who's hiring someone in theology? You're not going to get a job. You're going to be this. Then they go, I became a teacher. How much you make a year? $42,000. You just put yourself in $500,000 in debt to make $46,000 a year, and then with overtime, whatever. Oh, as you get a master's degree, my sister's a teacher, so I know this, right? She got a degree. Then they said, if you want a raise, go get a master's degree. She had a master's degree, got a raise. You want another raise, go get another master's degree. Now she's going for her doctorate to be the principal of the school.
Yep.
So you keep putting yourself in debt to make $200,000 a year,
Yeah.
$150,000 a year. I think the most she's gonna make $150,000.
Yeah.
Well, I've been making that for a long ass time. I used to come home and show my sisters, my mom, my dad. I made that last week.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you make this week? Oh, I made $1,500. Ooh, that's nice. I did $15,000. And they're like, what? Yeah, just making phone calls. I learned when people would tell me things, I'm like, prove your thesis. College is just for the experience so you figure out what you want to do with your life. Spend the first 2 years just getting an associate degree.
So
Figure
you
out.
think there's value in college, but it's not what most people think it is.
Not even close. Because
Do you think for most people, college is the right path?
no, most people are put into college. Okay, the other day I met a girl being a doctor because her dad wanted to be a doctor. The dad was worth $200 million, $400 million. He had bought apartment buildings in New York. He owns, what's it called? Shopping centers in New Jersey. Every quarter, she gets $600,000 to $400,000. Every quarter.
But you're talking about an extreme situation.
Guess what? She was going to school to be a doctor to make her father proud. He died. I said, you do not have to be a doctor anymore. She said, oh, well, I'm doing it. She was working 22 hours a day, driving herself nuts. And I said, what's the point and how much do you make? Oh, I make $150,000 a year. You make $500,000 every 3 months. You don't need to work anymore. You're a trust fund baby. Act like it. Where do you want to live? Oh, I don't know. Go fucking travel. You have no kids. But because of the pressures and people go, oh, you have a degree versus you're happy and you have a life, they look at the degree like, no, she's a doctor. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Guess what I got video of? When I was in the hospital, on the hospital bed, talking to doctors and finding out that they don't make shit.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's
work long
that's a whole
hours.
other thing.
And they don't make shit. And I'm not talking about, they would come to my room.
But at the same time, I think it's a deeper thing than that, because I think before we were rolling, we were talking about how, like, I don't know. I guess when I think about like that question, is it good advice for people to go to college or not? It's like, my advice that I would preach and that I did preach for a long time is no, everybody should run their own business. Everybody should work for themselves. Everybody should be self-employed. Everybody should have real estate and everything. And for the longest time, I thought that was real good advice and everything. And I've seen it make a lot of people really fucking wealthy, man. But I've also learned that it's not good advice for everybody. And at the end of the day, we need doctors. We need lawyers. We need teachers and everything,
lambs.
right?
Listen, you need lambs as you need wolves. But society doesn't want someone to be a wolf.
That's true.
Here's what has happened now. We don't have someone who says, I'm a man, or someone who says I'm a woman. We now have people who go, I don't know what I am. And don't make me conform.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But now they want to say, you have to respect that I don't want to conform. Well, no, I don't.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Here's what people told me. Jabbar, you can't tell another man what to do. Well, yes, I can. I can tell you shouldn't drink. Because if you get drunk and you kill my son, I'll kill you. Cause and effect, right? So if I know that you get drunk on a Friday and you overdrink, I can say, yo, you might kill somebody. Don't have more than 5 drinks. As your friend, I should say that to you. But what people do is, I'm not telling them what to do. And then they show up at your funeral.
Yeah.
Damn, man, I knew that was going to happen. Did you say anything? And the first thing I ask people, did you say something? Well, no. In what place? Then you weren't his friend. People will quickly show up at your funeral. They won't show up at your birthday. They'll show up at your birthday party and your funeral. Free drinks, free cake. But they won't show up when you really need them. You're like, yo, I'm fucked up. When I was in the hospital, certain people came. There was somebody who fucked me over in a deal because I was in the hospital and I was about to die. And I was like, I'm in the hospital. I'm about to die. I'm having surgery on my heart. They don't know if I'm going to make it. Out of 100%, my heart, your heart's 100% pumping blood. Mine's pumping 15%. Here's my life vest. I send a picture of me with everything in my arms, the mask on my face. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it, but we're going to close on Friday. Here's the buyer's information. Here's all the information for the buyer. They go, on Friday when I had the surgery, there was no check for Jabbar. No check. Because I could have been dead, so now they don't have to. Why have a check for Jabbar? And I was just sitting there like, we talked before, I thought this person was my friend. I'm like, you can't be serious that you closed and didn't have a check for me. Not even cut for me and stuff to the side. 2 weeks later, they gave me not even close to what I was supposed to get. And in writing, they made me write a contract saying that I was only getting this amount. I know what I realize is you find out really when money's involved how people feel about you. I can tell you, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you my honest opinion on anything from experience, and then I have to read who you are and say, yo, it's not bad to go to college, but it's a pressure because people go to college. But if you look at the billionaires and the millionaires that are kids that are 16 that are doing YouTube videos making, look at Batty, whatever, Catch Me Outside Girl.
Ah, yeah.
She made $50 million on some from OnlyFans. There's no way in her life that she'd make $50 million outside of OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Mayweather. People are like, oh, he didn't graduate high school. He's made close to $1 billion.
Yeah.
$700 million. In your lifetime, there's no doctor, there's no lawyer, there's nobody with a degree that has $700 million in their bank account. You can't save that money.
So true.
You can only invest that money into something or yourself, and that's what its purpose is. They're like, oh, he has 36 cars in red. He has 36 cars in black. He has 36 cars in white. Of Ferraris, Bentleys, whatever you want to call it. His house is like 30 or 40,000 square feet. Well, what did you go to college for? The whole purpose of you going to college is to what? Get a job. Pay for a house. Pay for a car. And be a productive person of society. Well, is he not a productive person of society who said to the industry, I'm going to do my own promotion? Mayweather management? I'm going to do my own advertising. I'm going to promote my own fights. I'm going to pick the people I fight against. Oh, I don't need to fight him during his prime. I'm going to fight him 5 years after. He's a little bit slower, but I'm going to fight him. It's going to be a big draw, and I'm going to take half the purse.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm going to take some of the pay-per-view money. That's never been done before. Be like, oh, Jabbar, well, you don't know, and da-da. And because people don't understand business, if you bet on yourself, you might win, you might fail.
That's true. But I don't think a lot of people can handle failure.
But that's the thing, because they're not letting their kids fail. I grew up in an era where I got cursed out on a regular at work. I got hit. I got stuff thrown at me. I got water, piss water, goldfish water. You know, I used to scrape the fish tanks with a razor blade, and then the shit would shock you, and they throw water on me. You know, throw a box at your head. Like, it was a normal thing at UPS or at these jobs because that's how they grew up. I went to Catholic school. I got beat in Catholic school. I went to St. Benedict's. St. Benedict's, Sister Julia.
Beat by some nuns, bro?
By nuns. You would come in the room, if you talk, they smack your hand. Put you over their lap. The teacher, I remember one time the principal came in, the teacher had a belt, and I'm looking like, yes, I'm saved. She said, what did he do? Oh, he threw a penny at somebody. Oh, yeah, beat his ass. Father Moore. No problem. He had a ruler, had 3 different rulers. You talk, you got to beat him. I grew up in an age where it wasn't no such thing as disciplining a child.
Yeah.
You're a child. You're going to do childish things. You don't have any concept of consequences. So guess what? You raise children that don't look at you as a father. They look at you as their friend, their brother, their cousin, somebody that they'll tell you shut up. And I tell people what you don't see, and what most of these people don't see is this. When you get old, they're going to whoop your ass. When you get old and you got your money, they're going to be like this. Give me all your money. I've seen it because guess what I did? I shook hands with 552 seniors. I used to go to their houses and to their dorm, in their rooms, and see a whole family living in the living room and dining room. While the mother, the mother, who's also the grandmother, is babysitting the kids while the kids go to work. While when you're at the bank, hurry up and give me the money, man. I need to pay these bills. Grown-ass man screaming at his mom because he got to pay bills because what you raised was a monster who didn't have respect, talk back to you. It's cute when they're little, but it's not cute when you start to say, you never gave them survival skills. Yeah. So they can't live on their own. So yeah, they're living at you at 32 years old, 42 years old. Well, guess what? When you get older and you can't work anymore in your prime and you made no investments, but you had a job at, wherever you worked at. Let's even give you said you work at a hospital. Do you know people think about don't even talk about pensions anymore? I got a pension at UPS, 6 years, got a pension. When I realized what I tell people is that pension don't mean shit because it's when you turn 67, you can get it. Well, what if you don't make it to 67? My dad died at 57. What if you have a heart attack a heart failure like I did on May 2nd, and that pension money is gone? When my dad died, they didn't give him a pension money. They said, oh, here's $9,900 something dollars, and this other money is going to the wind. There's no more pensions anymore. So all you got is what you teach them to do outside of the job or what you build up. Life insurance. I tell people all the time, do you have life insurance? If you got kids, you should have life insurance. No, I don't got any life insurance. Well, why not? Oh, I mean, it's too expensive. No, it's not. It's $29 a day, $19 a month, or $29 a month. Get whole life and term. Term is going to last you 20 years, 30 years. Get that for $19 while you're young. And when you get older, or as you're getting older, get whole life so that there's a buildup of value that you can borrow against. So that you can, if you do get older and you go, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to borrow $200,000 against this at 5%, and you're getting 4 or 5% return, it's a wash. When you die, the kids get nothing, but they have, or that gets part of the term. Simple math, right? People don't even think about that. Oh, I'm not leaving my kids anything. You didn't leave them, you're not going to leave them anything? Why are you not going to leave them anything? Oh, because, no, I'm not leaving them shit. Why? Oh, man, no, they got to work for it. Well, if you raise them right, they would have been working for it while you're raising your kid up. They went to college, right? You said you want them to go to college. Now, when you die, why wouldn't you give them a help to pay off the house, pay off the car? What's the $29? Or have them pay the $29 a month.
Yeah.
I meet so many people that when I was in the hospital came back and said, Bar, I had a heart attack. Bar, I had heart failure. All these people that took the COVID shot, all the people who had COVID, you know what I mean? I was just like, damn, you never said anything. He's like, nah, I ain't telling anybody. I got people with heart monitors that are wholesalers that we all know, that I take pictures with, that have a little device in their chest to keep them alive in case their heart stops. I just was like, I take the cheap option. You know, let me get the bag and the vest and hopefully I get it off. But I met 2 investors that everybody knows that have a little thing right here in their heart that if their heart stops, it shocks them back up. And it has like a little thing on the device that if they feel like they're passing out, they press it and it shocks their heart back. But nobody wants to talk about it because it's like, no, we don't want to make people uncomfortable. But what's the value in that? So we're making weaker Americans while everybody else is getting stronger. And no one's willing to make decisions because, of course, well, the government's going to help us. Well, the government person can be in the government for over 30 years. He could be in the same spot 30 years. Don't know what Bitcoin is. Has never even done a transaction on Cash App. Don't know what Cash App is. And you're like, he runs the government, but he doesn't know what Cash App is? Oh, he's never used that. Never used a Zelle. They use cash. They're still walking around with $200, $300, $400 in their wallet. But they run the government and you expect them to save you when you get into retirement age? Social Security's not going to be around.
It's going to be gone.
The debt is so high that we've exceeded what we bring in for the first time in I don't know how many years, by like 1%. That's how much interest we're paying versus how much money we're being in. And I'm trying to explain to somebody, y'all don't understand. If you just learn economics, you can't have the biggest military and every year spend on the military that's not being used, and then leave the same $2 trillion, I forgot what it was, a couple $1 billion they left in Iraq.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the amount was.
But it was something crazy, right? But yet, Flint, Michigan doesn't have water, clean water. If I'm president, the first thing I would do is make sure that my country, the United States, is taken care of better than another country that we found $6.3 billion and was like, hey, we made an error. We found $6.3 more billion. Hey, we're going to send it to you. Well, if you have $6.3 billion and on itself, $1 billion generates $75,000 a day that for 100 years you can spend and never touch the principal. We can't have better schools? Oh, it's not profitable. We can't have free healthcare? Oh, it's not profitable. But other countries like Switzerland and other countries around the world have free healthcare and free schooling. Why are Chinese and Oriental kids smarter than our kids? They have free schools of the best teachers in the world. Why do the Sweden people and people in other countries live longer than us? They have free healthcare. We tax the shit out of people on the money you receive. When it comes in, you're taxed. When you spend it, you're taxed. When you die, it's taxed. Mm-hmm. How does that make sense?
Because we have to, because the system that we have is already so broken. I don't think we could say we want to make some tweaks to our system.
We could if the older people would say, you know what, I've been doing this job for the last 50 years. I don't have the capacity to think differently. Do you understand, like when you go into a company like UPS, they want you to check somebody every 5 to 15 minutes. A 16 and 18-year-old isn't going to allow you to check them every 5 to 15 minutes. Their attention span ain't that long. And you're gonna
I got ADHD, bro. My attention span's like 4 seconds.
You're going to put them at the end of a truck by themselves with a cell phone and expect performance. And then you're going to go track to see that he didn't send a Florida shipment to California. and expect him not to send something to California because you want him to read the shit. He ain't reading shit. He's going to load blindly while he's on his phone, loaded with one hand. No, Jabbar. That's exactly what he's going to do. We want college kids. You put a college kid that spent his whole life being a nerd into a truck by himself, 110 degrees, with no air, and you walk around with a towel, a wet towel, as something to cool him off. You're not getting college kids. What you're supposed to do is put them in the office by the computer, making phone calls or doing paperwork. No, this is how we've been doing it forever. But that's not successful. Their turnover rate was 66%. What company in the world could survive having a 66% turnover rate every week? I've been talking to people my whole life because I'd go, here's the facts. You said the facts. The facts are we have homeless people all over the United States. To the point that San Francisco, California, and different parts are so overrated with homeless people that the buildings that are worth $2 to $20 million, no one would buy it if you wanted $1 million for it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's simple shit. If you would send those people to college or gave them a skill before they became this falling apart, you wouldn't have this situation because you're now saying to people, hey, this community college is free. We're going to pay for the computers. We're going to pay for this. You can get a skill. You can learn. You know what you should learn? Programming, computer programming, AI. You should learn this, this, and this because this is the future of where technology is going. Not you do whatever the hell you want. Okay, on your own, you take drugs, you drink, you do this, this, and this. You rob, you steal. You have no guidance. You're going to end up being a bum on the streets. That same bum on the streets is going to stab you while you're walking down the street in your $20 million house, and you're like, oh, shit, maybe I should have voted for, or maybe I should have put a program in place so that the homeless people have somewhere to go. It's not my problem, most people say, until it shows up at your door.
True.
And then when it's at your door, you want to say, politicians help me, and I'm like, they aren't going to help you because they don't live in your situation.
Right, right.
They're nowhere, they don't even know you exist. And this is the other part that people crack me up. They go, I voted for Donald Trump. Did you give him $1 million? Well, no. How much did you give him? $300. That's what he shits every day. You didn't give him enough. Did you give him $3 million, $4 million, $5 million? No. So he doesn't know your name. He doesn't know you exist. He only speaks to you because he knows you're an idiot. Why did I say he said that? He said in a public thing that you can Google it. He said, I could shoot somebody on the middle of the streets of New York and the Republicans will still vote for me. He now has the highest rating of any Republican right now, even though he's convicted of crimes. If I spit on somebody, I can't get a job. I have a felony 1 for being in the wrong place at the wrong time and couldn't get a job because I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And even in my conviction, and anybody can ask, oh, Jabbar was just there. Can't get a job from going from Drexel and Temple. This guy did something wrong, convicted, took a mugshot, and has the highest rating at 54% of all the people trying to be president of the United States.
Why do you think that is?
Brainwashing and the fact that at the end of the day, we don't think about we need something different. We get comfortable. We like him. And like I said, at the end of the day, he's a brilliant marketer. He got the mob mentality. He got people to be, cults. Because even against their own best interest, if he had made something and he said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of that. Yes, get rid of it. And I say to people, do you know your health care when you turn 60, 65 is government based? So if they get rid of it, you won't have health care. Mm-hmm. No, Jabbar, yes. So you can't get rid of it. He can afford it if he gets rid of it. And people will vote. And people would ask him straight questions. You do know that if he passed this law, you won't have health care, Social Security. Nah, we don't need it. You make $30,000 a year at the pig hog plant that's about to close. Oh, he's going to keep the coal factories open. Cars are not going to run on coal anymore. It's going away from it. We're going to electric. No one thinks outside the box and then think of, wait a minute. It sounds good right now, but in 10 years, when I'm 65 years old and I need Social Security and it's not there, or when I need health care, it's not there. Oh, shit. Well, I'm going to call my governor. I'm going to call whoever. And they call and the person says, we can't help you.
Yeah.
You're now homeless on the streets because you couldn't.
But is that such a bad thing? Like,
capitalism.
To know that nobody's there to help you.
It's a bad thing when you brainwash people not to know, to think for themselves. You ever watch the movie Look Up? Don't Look Up?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Funny.
It's the prime example of everything I just said.
Yeah.
Don't look up. Because when someone said...
But I don't think politics is like even in the conversation for how do we get on the other end from where we're at today to wherever we see a brighter future than
the people have to come together and create their own schools.
I don't think people are going to come together largely on anything ever, right?
But
because there's always going to be that.
No. Think about this. You can create your own village. You can.
Mm-hmm.
You have your daughter, you have your kids, right?
True.
You can take 10% of what you make and say, I'm going to start my own educational program. And I'm going to teach people for $20. I'm going to give everything I know. Get 1,000 people to go through your program. They have a kid, they go through your program. They have a kid, they go through your program. And in 10 years, 100 years, the Temple of Drew is around.
Temple of Drew. I like the sound of that,
Drew.
bro.
You know how I know? Guess what? How many churches I went to? My mom, Christian. No, my grandmother, Christian. I went to Catholic school. My other grandmom was Baptist.
Okay.
My other half of the family, Jehovah's Witness. My name is Jabbar Fairweather. My other side of the family is Scottish. I literally used to spend every Saturday and Sunday in the church at some point in time in my life. I went to church in Jamaica every Sunday. And what I realized is everyone believes in God but calls him a different name. Allah means God. Christians say God, Most High. We're still talking about one figure that everybody looks up to, and the rules are the same. Do not kill. 10 Commandments here. The Allah and
promotes a good message.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just the way the message is delivered, right?
And that's okay. It's okay that the message is delivered differently because it needs to be delivered differently to different people.
We all hear certain different things.
Absolutely.
So here's the thing. People will be like, oh, Jabbar's against Trump. No, I'm not. Because guess what? He rattled a lot of cages. I love that shit. Because I probably did the same shit. He fired people who he probably shouldn't have fired, but they went against him because that's what he did when he was on You're Fired.
Yeah.
He showed you this is what a president can do and can be. Now, most people understand there was a lot of self-interest in everything he did, but at the end of the day, he showed like how machismo is the best way to say it. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what that is. No.
Big balls.
Oh, okay.
Machismo.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Like when I walk in a room, I'm very confident because I've had more experiences than 99% of the people in the world. I did a trip in Africa a mission trip in Africa. So people can't tell me about suffering because they've never had dirty water and watched people drink out of a river that's brown, knowing it has cholera and all kinds of diseases in it. That's the only option you have. And the kids are drinking it like, is this water here?
Yeah.
We don't even appreciate the fact that we can bottle water.
I appreciate the shit out of it, man. All I do is drink bottled water, but I'm
just
weird.
Think about that.
You're absolutely right.
They don't even appreciate the fact that they can go to their sink, turn the water on, and drink it without dying.
Yeah. Nah, man, I say all the time, it's like we as a country, as a society, like just largely, we're pussies, dude. Like we really are these days. It goes to the education system. Like you said, they don't want to tell kids that they're wrong. They want to pump an agenda. Everything about it is making us as a society be weaker and more vulnerable.
And here's the other thing.
And more like sheep.
What most people don't realize, just as another thing, everything is done by pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, and banks. They see money, right? They push an agenda to make you do something that they've looked at the long-term side effects and know it's bad for you, but they know that, and since I was in the pharmaceutical things, Tylenol is less than a penny. Less than a penny. Like on Bitcoin, 0.00001 is what they cost them to make a Tylenol. Doesn't even equal a penny yet. You buy it from the store, it's $16. It costs the manufacturer 16 cents to manufacture that bottle of Tylenol. I buy it from them $5. I sell it to you for 16. They're making billions of dollars, hand over foot. So they put money behind people that said, oh no, let's put the kids on hormone pills. Let's let them see psychiatrists. Doctors get paid when they retire. If they push enough drugs to you, they call it a parachute. In big business, it's called a parachute. So doctors get paid consultant fees when they retire from their practice of $15,000 and up a month. They get to go to golf courses, get to go if they push a certain medication or drug. Don't give a shit about your kid.
That's fucked, right?
I know this because I literally talked to a doctor when I was doing HIV medications. Because when I was doing the pharmaceutical, the first thing I said was, well, what pays us the most money? Oh, HIV meds. Really? Yeah. It's $2,000. We make X amount out of it. And he was pushing a cocktail that was $900. He said, Bar, if I can get people in this cocktail and I get a certain amount, they're going to pay me $15,000 a month. Forever. What are you talking about? It only cost them $30 to make the drug. Wait, what? Yeah. $30 to make something they charge insurance companies $2,000 for. I'll get paid $15,000 for life. That's why I push it. And here's what happens. People never challenge the doctor.
Of course.
So the doctor says...
I just had this yesterday, bro.
The doctor says this. Hey, we need you to stay overnight. My son popped his finger. Something happened to his finger. Or even with me, my finger popped, blew up on UPS. Oh, we gotta hold you for observation. It's my fucking finger. What's the observation? Sew it up, put your thing on it. I go out the door. No.
Good.
Because guess what? They get to charge your insurance company.
Of course they do.
For the 48 hours or 24 hours. And after that, they kick you out. As soon as you get that time from time to go.
Yep.
I'm like, I was in the hospital for heart surgery. I got out in 2 weeks because I kept telling them, like, listen, I can't stay here. Other people are like, oh, we've been in the hospital for 4 months, for 4 weeks, a month, 2 months. I'm like, why? You're gonna end up dying. Well, guess what I did? I came home and I walked, I drank right, I exercised, I did 5 miles a day. I did 7 miles in one day, and I didn't stay home depressed and die in a corner. Well, they only make money if they can get you meds and insurance. So when we pass laws and bills, no one challenges and go, that don't make sense. Why are you pumping this child that's 14 years old with hormone pills?
Well, because why would anybody challenge it when everybody that has the ability to challenge it is also getting paid?
Right, because you're listening to the doctor title. You know, well, the doctor said this. Well, the doctor don't make shit money here. Teachers don't make shit money. The people that teach your kids make less money than someone who's on welfare. How does that make sense?
Yep.
They can't afford to have books and stuff in schools unless you're in a certain zip code in a certain neighborhood. So, of course, if someone gave you the option to say, hey, listen, if you push this, we're going to slip you something. And it's legal.
Yep.
What do you mean legal? Oh, no. Just push this drug. If you make this many sales on it. Yep. It's like they just caught the 3 judges that were sending people to jail for obscene time. They were getting paid like $12 million over the time. Judges were sending people to jail for robbery. They stole $50 or $25 or something, and they went to jail for 5 years because they were getting paid from the prisons. Judges, 3 white judges, were locking people up 20 years, 15 years, 5 years. Do you imagine how heartless you got to be that a kid at 16 years old steals something from a store, which normal people do, not kids or anybody, might have done, and they got 5 years?
Yeah.
How fucking ridiculous is that?
It's very ridiculous. What's crazy, though, is that it's not even surprising. Literally. So, like, I just had a rant on Facebook last night about this because I went to the eye doctor yesterday, and I had LASIK when I was 18. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking with the doctor, new eye doctor, never saw him before. And he's like, oh, okay, so, like, you had this surgery in 2008. I'm like, oh, fuck, when you say it like that, it sounds really long ago. Yeah. All right, so it was 15 years ago, whatever. He's like, all right, well, obviously you're wearing glasses and everything, so, you know, your eyes are progressively getting worse again. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm here because my prescription isn't strong enough anymore, right? And I'm telling him that I went in for the reconsultation to have my LASIK redone because when I got it done when I was 18 years old, like, you know, it came with a lifetime warranty, you know?
Right.
So you can get the touch-up done at any point in your life for free. So my eyes were good for 10 years. Here we are. You know, I'm now whatever I was, 27, 28. Eyes are starting to get worse. Go in for the reconsult. And they're like, yep, you're a candidate. But they scared the shit out of me intentionally, I believe. Because they don't want to redo the treatment again for free, right? So even going into this appointment, I had in the back of my mind, they're probably going to try to talk me out of it or whatever. And they did. And I'm telling this to the doctor and everything. And he's kind of just laughing about it. He's like, oh, I actually came up working for the competitor of where I had my laser eye surgery done. And he's like, right around that same time, around like 07, 08. And the management team at the time, it was kind of a joke that almost every week they would come up with another way to kind of tell the sales team to dissuade, people from having a retreatment done or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, haha, I kind of knew that, whatever, makes sense. But then he goes further. He goes, around that same time though, there was a lot of shady shit going on. And a lot of doctors, what they were doing, because 07, 08, they were feeling it, I guess, in that industry or that, field specifically, that a lot of the practices were starting to go under and everything. So we had people that would come in that wouldn't even really be candidates for one reason or another. Maybe their eyes weren't bad enough that it didn't warrant having the LASIK done. Or there were even cases where people had too much of an astigmatism and they literally, like medically, were not fucking qualified to have this surgery done. They would leave and we would tell them, they're not a candidate. The doctors that owned the practices would review all the files that were rejected and tell us to go back, bring those people back in and put a sexy payment plan in front of them and sell the shit out of them to get them to have the surgery done. Wow. He's like, so these were doctors that knew that they were suggesting something that was not even remotely in the best medical interests of their fucking patients and pushing the shit out of it because there was financial pressure at the time and they didn't want to have to close the doors. Fucking doctors,
Now, here's the
and
thing.
how much do you think that? Like, I was pissed off and frustrated when he told me that. And there was a piece of me that's like, maybe this is a bullshit story. But I doubt it. No. I'm not surprised.
My mom's a nurse. My sister's a nurse. My ex-wife's an ultrasound technician. She's done over 400 plus abortions. I'm the person who questions everything when I walk into it because I learned the business side of everything. I met a guy who was making $66 million a year selling bullshit drugs to South America and Africa. The way the drug works, and I went further into drugs than most people ever do. I tried to bring drugs legally to Africa. I had to pay everyone off. Everyone had to get paid. The dock person had to get paid. The security team at the dock had to get paid. I had to pay a security team to get the drugs from the docks to the pharmacy. The pharmacists in Africa had to get paid. There's 12 of them. The governor had to get paid. The head of Nigeria had to get paid. 7 people had to get paid for me to bring legal medications from the U.S. $150,000 to bring drugs into Africa. Because when you go to Africa and you get messed up, they give you a choice. This is from Asia. This is from India. This is from South America. This is from the U.S. This one costs $10. This one costs $15. This costs $25. This from the U.S. is $50. Which one do you want? We don't know what's in any of them, but we do know the one from the U.S. has your amount of medication in it. Know why the guy was making $66 million a year in gross? Because $33 million of his drugs, he didn't know what was in it. I said, I can't do business with you. He said, Jabar. I said, you kill hundreds of thousands of people a year. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, can't do it. Me and my partner at the time, we was like looking at him like his conscience was not even there. He said, I'm making 50%. He said, what are you guys making? 35? I make 50%. I get it from China. And I'm going, do you know how many people you were killing? Man, what are you talking about? It's just business. I've met the people who give the doctors the drugs. I've met the people where I'm going, fuck. Like, in your mind, you're calculating $33 million in profits because you're giving drugs that you got from China to the people in South America and the people to Africa, and it's their life on the line. They don't care. And what people don't realize is they meet people and they think, no, they would never do this. And I'm like, yes, they will. Mm-hmm. I've been in rooms in situations where the mom is dying of cancer from smoking cigarettes, which I've tell everybody, don't fucking smoke cigarettes. It gives you cancer. Cigarettes give you cancer. End of story. Point blank, they give you cancer. Some people's genealogy won't mutate. But 89 or 85% of the people in the world, over a certain period of time, your genes will mutate in your lungs and you'll get cancer, right? Throat cancer, chest cancer. It's a fact. That's why they made it outlawed that you can't smoke everywhere in the world before, right? In Australia, they had it, the company sued so that they can sell cigarettes. What they did was they made them put in their language, this may cause cancer. Well, they fought that and won that they don't have to put on the labeling, it may cause cancer. So the Australian government put a picture of cancer on the damn cigarettes. Cigarette companies made $81 billion that year. $81 billion. And killed, I don't know how many people, right? There was a country that said, no, we don't want cigarettes in our country. They sued the country so that they could sell cigarettes in the country to people who don't even know what cigarettes are, who smoke, and I quote, natural shit from trees. Weed, bring back to weed, is a natural thing that grows in the ground. It has a higher time if you sell weed than you sell cocaine.
Which is mind-boggling, yeah.
Because at the time, Caucasians did cocaine. They didn't do weed. Black people did weed.
I've heard this, yeah.
Can you imagine that something that grows out of the ground, there's still people in jail now doing 16 years for selling weed that is now legal. Just think about that. Something that's now legal because now Donald Trump's partner is the second largest owner of dispensaries in the world, in the United States. He's part of a conglomerate that bought and buy out all the little weed licenses. See, the problem of being an information system technology major is this. I spend time learning shit with facts, and I tell people all the time, I said, just Google the shit. Just Google the shit or watch a 5-hour documentary on cigarettes. I watched a 5-hour documentary that explained how it gives everybody cancer. I've talked to
That's
people.
really long, bro. I don't think you needed to watch 5 hours.
I watched 5 hours. And I tell people, like, sometimes I go in so deep because then I'll tell somebody, like, so I met a lady, I was in the pharmacy, she smoked 4 cigarettes a day. I said, you're going to get cancer. She said, Jabbar, blah, 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 I've been smoking my whole life. I said, you're going to get cancer.
4 cigarettes or 4 packs?
4 cigarettes a day.
Okay.
She was at a pack a day, basically. She died. When she went to the hospital, the doctor, she had stage 4 cancer. Her mom had lost her limbs from diabetes. I've met so many people that I used to say to them, like, if you don't stop with the sugar, they're going to cut off your feet. Their feet's gone. If you don't stop, they're going to cut off your legs. Their legs are gone. If you don't stop, they're going to cut your hands off. Their hands are gone, and then they die. And I'm like, didn't I tell you when I met you what was going to happen? And no one believes it's going to happen to you. No,
Do you think they really didn't believe it, or they just didn't care?
They didn't accept it. Because the doctor is saying, take this medication, and this medication is going to change your life. I take 5 pills a day. Them 5 pills a day don't they lower my blood pressure. They do certain things, right? But they can't make my heart stronger. The only way I can make my heart stronger is if I walk 5 miles, 7 miles a day. But they're not pushing that. They're pushing, take these drugs.
Pills.
Take these 5 pills, this 1 pill. When I went to go get the pills, it was $650. That's how much I would have to pay a month for those medications to keep me alive. $650. How many people can afford $650 a month? Mm-hmm. That's the part where you can't just be an employee because most people need an extra $500 a month to get to the next paycheck.
Yep.
If you're just teaching your kids or people to be sheep, they will always be sheep. They'll never challenge the status quo. They'll never challenge the government. They won't challenge the teachers. I used to make more than my teachers. I was a kid that made more than my teachers. I was buying my teacher's car when I was in 8th grade. I get in an argument with somebody, I'd be like, I make more money than you. What are you talking about? They're like, what? I'm like, I made $36,000 last year. How much did you make? 32.
In 8th grade?
Before that.
Damn, bro.
I've been working since I was 14, 20 hours a week. Martin's Aquariums.
I've probably been working since I was like 8, but I don't know that I ever made that much money that young. Damn, all right.
I was making a shitload of money because I didn't have a problem washing cars, cutting lawns, and working at Martin's Aquariums from 5 to 9 after I did football practice. I'd go to Martin's Aquarium. I never in high school ever had a Saturday or Friday night out in 4 years. When I was in grade school, I worked full-time every summer. Every summer, I walked into Martin's Aquariums at 9 a.m. I left at 9 p.m. 5 days a week. The only time they closed early was on a Sunday. That's when I wasn't there when they closed.
What do you think the most valuable thing you took from that as a young child was?
Because what I realized was people don't know numbers. How much we make today? 12,000. Well, how did we make that? Well, we sold 5 puppies. The fish, I bought the fish. These guppies are, 1,000 guppies for $1. I learned to produce a product or service and then charge people for it. I learned that people don't question things that they want or have a passion for. Find a group of passionate people and then sell them something. That's it. I always wanted freedom. So for me, it was always money equaled freedom to me. I always thought that money equaled freedom. That was how I was raised. Oh, you got money, you got freedom. So I was always chasing the money to be free, but then I realized the job kept me, to make more money, I had to do overtime. And to do overtime didn't make sense because the taxes were even more.
And it's very easy to sell people that are chasing freedom almost anything too.
And then guess what? That's why I joined so many network marketing companies. Because I was like, okay, Amway, soap products? Who's buying soap products? Your mom, your grandma. Everybody's buying soap products. Okay, yeah, I can sell some soap to my mom. They had great soap. Concentrate. Boom. The guy came from North Carolina to my mom's house, to my bedroom when I was 16 years old to sell me Amway. He had a suit and tie, white guy. And I was like, the fuck? And he's like, and thinking back, I was like, how the hell did you drive from North Carolina to sell me a product for Amway? So we bought everything from him. My mom was like, oh, da-da-da. We went to the Amway meetings, everything. And then I was just
So your mom was involved also?
Yeah, but she was like this. You could do whatever you want if you pay for it. So I went to Texas, the Gulf of Mexico. I traveled. I've been to Vegas ever since I was 16. My best friend's mom, she would always go to Vegas. She'd take us since we were 16. So I've been around adults that were gambling and making money my whole entire life. So I could always go, how would you do this? So you're telling me that I could cut your lawn for your thing? How many lawns? In your stores? I had a friend who had all the stores, 7-Elevens. Javed, his brother name is Amir. The other brother is what's his other name? Not Amir. Oh man, I forgot his other brother's name. But their father had 7 7-Elevens. Each son had a 7-Eleven to run.
7 7-Elevens. Man, that's a mouthful. All right.
7-Elevens, you make 45% of the profits on their products, and if you have your own product, it's 50-50 percentage. And the 7-Eleven was doing about $1 million a month. When he got older, he left them all the business. The one son came to me, Jabbar, what would you do? I said, go get an IS major. And I told him why. He started making $200,000 a year, the one son. The son I can't remember. The other son, I said, go to Florida and build houses. I'll name my kid after you if you build houses. He said, what? I said, I'll name my firstborn child after you if you go to Florida and build houses. He flew down to Florida, was buying land for $25,000, lots for $25,000, built a house on it, and sell them for $150. He was building the houses for $75,000. He did that until Florida started flooding, until the prices of the lots got higher, and he came back. To this day, he still does construction. To this day, the other one's an IS major. To this day, the other one owns stores. To this day, I still talk to him because I got them all into real estate. Because all I did was say, well, the guy I work for owns this. The guy I work for, who has all these properties, Drew DeMarco, is doing this. And it was just like I grew up basically challenging what I thought and believed because of the people I met around me, and then asking them questions of what they were doing for money. And what happens is, if you ask enough questions, you'll get a lot of answers. And then you just take your notes. Oh, what did this person say? Like when I speak now, people can go, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's cool. But guess what you can't do when you go on my Facebook, my Instagram, or any of my social media? You can't question that I went live and showed you I was in Africa for 2 weeks doing a missions trip. You can't question when I say I was running a pharmacy and I had bingo and I have pictures of me running bingos for 550 seniors. Or I was at the Sugar House Hotel Casino. Or I have pictures of me with all the ladies of doing the bingos down in Huntington Park. Or me having pictures with famous people or doing things while you're at work and I'm at home or I'm at a park playing basketball. I had a friend call me, I'm at work and you playing basketball with the guys you did, Frank McGovern and the other guy. Hone. We're playing basketball one day, and I'm playing basketball with them, and Bruce was like, I'm the hell at work, and you're fucking playing basketball. I said, but Bruce, you don't have to work. You can just get your credit right, which is good, and buy properties. No, man, I can't do that. I said, why can't you? Okay, keep doing what you're doing. He got in a car accident. His job let him go, and he started working from home, buying properties. He partnered with Darren, and they started doing rehabs together. He had great credit. Darren had the skill, and now Darren builds houses all through Germantown, And Bruce says the same thing. And Bruce works for himself and his sister. His sister had great credit. And now he does whatever the fuck he wants.
It's not impossible.
It took years. Took 5 years to get to the point. But at the end of the day, what I always tell people is, what is time to you if you're going to spend it at work? Or
if you're going to spend the rest of your fucking life working anyway, it makes no difference, right? You might as well put in the effort and time and invest in yourself rather than invest into a company.
And
right?
like I always tell people, how much did you think you spent over the years in mentorship or courses?
Me specifically?
Bro.
A lot. Probably in the last 5 years. No, we'll go the life of my business career. I've probably spent over 300 grand.
I was about to say, for me, around 150.
Okay.
Courses, because back when I was doing it, it probably might be even more like yours, but over the course of time when I was doing it, it was like 3,000. Like they didn't really have a $25,000 product.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like $3,000 or 10 grand was like,
yeah,
it's 10 grand. But I would do it over and over again. When Thane, or whatever the guy name was, a football player, he had the course. He had the guy who did the show, Flipped His House.
Okay. Yeah.
Big guy, football player.
Can't think of his name, but I can picture his face. Yeah.
He was the one who had the first like major course where it was like 25 grand. You're like, did you say 25 grand? Oh my gosh. But I was the king of calling and negotiating.
Did you buy it?
Oh yeah. I was like,
what'd you buy it for?
I was like, I think I got it for 25, but I spread over the payments.
Yo, you can't preface that with saying I'm the king of calling and negotiating and say I negotiated it from 25 down to 25.
No. Guess what? So this is what happens. I did it with what's the name's course? Right now you have the guy who's all over the place. What's his course? Not Pace Mobley, but Jamal. Astro Flipping.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I called him. I said, listen, I'll pay whatever you want for the course, but I'm paying it every time I close. They're like, what? You can't do that. So put your manager on the phone. Hey, listen, y'all want how much for the course? All right, listen. Every time I close, I'm going to give you $2,500. Now, I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe in a year. But last month, I closed 5 deals. Every deal, I'll pay you $2,500. I don't know about that. Put the owner on the phone. He's not going to answer the phone. I said, listen, right now, your highest course is $25,000. How many of them did you sell today? Well, we didn't. I said, okay, then. I have the track record. I know a lot of people. And I can send you my HUDs to show you that I've closed 8 deals last month. I'll pay you $5,000 a day. And every time I close, $2,500. And every month, bill me to $2,500. This is the basis, but I'll probably pay it off before. Boom. $2,500 every month. Gave him $5,000, $2,500 a month. Spread it over a year. Or 10 months, or whatever it came out to be. Every time someone had a course, I call. And I would tell people, when you do rent, and people are like, oh, they want $1,500 or $1,200 a month, $1,000. I said, call them up. I'm like, what? I'm going to pay for the whole year. When I did the penthouse, I drove to the penthouse, and I literally sat there in Center City and said, we're moving in today. The guy's like, no, you're not. He said, what do you want? I said, the biggest place you had. He said, the biggest place we have is the penthouse. I said, how big is it? He told me 2,300 square feet. I said, I'll take it. He said, all right, yeah, next month. Da-da-da. I said, no, today. What are you talking about? I said, the U-Haul's outside. Actually, U-Haul's in front of the building. Got a $75 ticket, didn't know parking the curve was $75. And I'm moving today. I had $1,000 cash in my pocket. I moved in that day.
Yeah.
I gave him a blank check. I said, here's a blank check. I said, whatever number you need me to put on this check, you can put it. I signed the check and I handed it to him. He was like, what the fuck? I said, but I need a discount and I need to move in today. And you will get first month's rent anyway. He wrote a number in. I had already signed it, so I didn't care. He made me pay for like 5 months up front. So what? Paid for 5 months. I moved in that day and I gave everybody about $200. And they moved me in that day.
Beautiful.
Because I always tell people, money will motivate people to do a lot of shit. You just got to find out, what does that salesperson need?
For sure.
Well, they got to pay their bills. Salespeople have to go, is this a guaranteed sale or not? Well, if I can make it a guaranteed sale, and I'm not bragging because it was just that something I wanted to do, but I always wanted to live downtown, and I was just, you know what? Let me just move now. I flipped a house. It was a long time ago, and I was like, God damn, whenever I'm going to move, it's going to be today. And I moved down there. And I would tell people, like, listen, if you die tomorrow, did you do what you wanted to accomplish in your life? If you say no, make the fucking list. Because I used to listen to Tony Robbins and all these people. They say, yo, make a list of 100. Make a list of 100 things you want to do before you die. And it's just write. Just keep writing until you get 100 or 75 or 100. And every day, write your goals and then take the top 3. RPM is what Tony Robbins talked about. Take the top 3, circle them, and no matter what happens that day, those 3 things get done. Then the next day, repeat the process. What's the top 3 things out of the goals and they get done? Well, now let's think about this. When the doctor was about to operate on me or told me I was about to die, I was like, okay. He was like, no, seriously. I'm like, okay. I've seriously done anything I've ever wanted to do. Because my parents had raised me, if you can afford to do it, go fucking do it. As long as we ain't got to pay for it, you can go wherever the fuck you want. And I'm like, anywhere? Anywhere you want to go. Call us when you get there. Call us when you leave. Okay. And that's what I did my whole life. And then what I noticed with different people, when I talk to them, I tell them, I'm like, there's nothing you've done that I haven't had some experience in because I was a fearless child that had unlimited availability of traveling, of I need to make $5,000 this month. Shit. All right, I'm going to cut lawns. I'm going to do this. You know what? I'm going to help this guy clean out the houses. I used to drive around in a green van and do dumps for construction people. I know every dumpster at every apartment building. At nighttime, we dump around apartment buildings. They hated me.
I bet they did.
But guess what? They were paying $1,500. Remember they used to pay $1,500 for the dumpster to be out the front? You drop the dumpster from Home Depot, it's $1,500. Well, I'm like, look, give me the $1,500. I'll pick the trash up for you. Now, boom. All right, $1,500 for the dump. I said, all right, give me $1,200. I'll get the trash away and I'll be back here tomorrow. So you don't have to worry about it. We'll get all the trash. Me and him will split the money. He gets $600, I get $600. We go to, in Germantown, there's a 50-unit apartment building. They had like 4 dumpsters out there. We dump it, break it up, dump it, and throw it in there. One time, the police caught me, and I said, he's like, no, he's going to pee. He's like, I don't see no fucking pee. I don't smell pee. Where'd you pee at? Over here. Oh, no, pick all this shit up. Put it back in that truck. And then he find us to lock us up. Drove, went to Logan. Lindley Apartments were getting rehabbed. Boom, dumped over there. I would hustle and think of ways to make money because I was like, okay, who can I physically do labor for that's going to pay me that I could just put gas in the vehicle? Okay, that's dumping. Dumping trash, doing cleanouts.
Yeah.
I was a king of doing cleanouts. There's tons of fucking people who need cleanouts done. Oh, you doing this house? You need to move? Oh, I'll help you move. So in my mind as a child, as I was growing older, I was just thinking, I'm strong, I'm young. I got this guy with me.
Money.
Let's just make this quick cash. And it was $1,000 cash, not a check.
Yep.
So boom, I do the one clean out. Then you do now what I've realized, that's why I got to investors. Investors aren't going to do one house a year.
That's right.
Every 3 months, every 4 months, you're going to buy another house. You're going to do another clean out.
Volume, repeat business, and relationships are king.
So guess what I get phone calls from? Yo, Bar, I got a clean out. You going to do it for me? Let me see the clean out. I start doing it for banks. PAREO, Connor & Connor. I used to do it for Rose & Connor. I used to do it for PAREO and do their cleanouts for the banks. The banks will write you a check for $3,500, $5,000. You do the clean out, 3 stories. Boom, this house had a squatter in there. Hey, or this is full. Can you do the clean out? Because this time they wouldn't fix up. This was just REOs would just clean the house out. They wouldn't fix anything. They would just clean the house out. So boom, got a U-Haul truck, rented it for $100 for the day. Boom, cleaned it out, dumped for free.
You dick.
I know. Dump for free. And don't let me catch a dumpster. Oh, shit. I'll pack the shit out of a dumpster. You ever put a dumpster on in Philadelphia and the next day you're like, how the fuck did they fill it up? Mm-hmm. Because somebody in a U-Haul truck seen it earlier that day and went, oh, John, we got one. And you're sitting there in your mind. You are like, thank you, Jesus. This is a full-length dumpster. Ah. Boom. Yes. Yeah, we can take that job. Yep. Oh, no, we can do it for $3,000. Nah, man, they said, how much? $5,000? Now we do it for $3,000. Boom. Knock it out, fill up the truck. 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Back up. Throw everything in it and gone.
It's crazy.
But it was survival because at that point in time, I had in my mind, it was like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. They're going to just dump it again anyway. Yeah. You know, I'm not thinking of the cost that they cost. Because I was just thinking,
end of the spectrum.
I need to get this money to get this course. And how am I think of this? How am I going to generate this money right now?
Yeah.
But that's part of teaching kids and giving them chances and teaching people how to make money the right way. Because if you don't, your only choice in surviving when you have no job and when you need the money to live is to do that, well, guess what you're going to do? And then when I tell people, you didn't have to chalk it up as part of the game. As people who, when people sell drugs, they say like the cops raid the house. It's just part of the game. They know that some of this drugs are going to get busted because you're going to get caught. Everybody eventually gets caught who sells drugs. Even if you sell it legally, you're going to get caught. When they came after me, I laughed because I said to them, I already knew you were coming. In my mind, I knew depositing that much money, someone's going to come. I was just like, but I had all my bases covered. I mean, like, here's the proof that we did nothing wrong. And you know what I mean? I wasn't involved in anything, but I had to laugh.
You got to give some context there.
Oh, I was depositing $100,000 a week in cash into the banks all over the city of Philadelphia at the time when I was doing the pharmacy sales.
Okay.
But I was basically doing so much volume, and it's a cash business that I was just literally not using the trucks. And then people were like, why aren't you paying $1,000? I'm like, why would I pay them $1,000 to deposit money when I can just keep the $1,000 to myself and deposit the money myself? I'm not paying them $1,000, so it's $5,000 a month. And for me, it's always been like, well, how can I save money and then put the money back in my own pocket? And how inconvenient it's going to be, because I'm not afraid to pay for something. If you sell something for $10,000, I'm going to pay you your full price. I'm just going to spread it out so that I can generate new money. I don't spend old money.
Sure.
If I got $20,000 in the bank right now, I'm not buying anything with the $20,000. If I want something, I'm going to generate the new money to pay for the new thing.
Okay. I like that.
Because this is how you get in trouble. You sell a house for $100,000. You make $100,000 on the flip. You go downtown and you say, I'm going to stay in a penthouse. Well, where's the money coming from? Every month for the penthouse. Oh, it's the $100,000 you just made. People think you got money, but you're spending the money that you didn't have to live here. So every month you're spending it. Well, now living downtown costs what? A lot of fucking money. A lot of money. The farmer's market across the street, or the grocery store across the street, their orange juice isn't $3. It's $5. You want to get a piece of beef, steak? It's $30. Like, what I started to realize was I can't afford to live downtown. I was just like, I'm generating money just to live here, right? Didn't know until you experience it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, man, this is cool, this is great. But then I realized I'm burning through old money and I'm trying to catch up and generate new money to replace the money in the bank that was already in there. So I'm burning through my emergency money and I'm bringing new money in, but it's like an ever tumbling thing where I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? And I realized what got me in trouble before was that when I was buying all my properties, I got $15,000 in. I was thinking, okay, after I pay all my mortgages, there's $7,000 left or $10,000 left. I'm good. I'm spending it, but I'm not realizing the maintenance cost of the properties.
You're not allocating for it. You're not separating it into different accounts or anything.
Not thinking about it, because guess what? No one ever taught me. No one ever said to you, and this is for the listeners, when you get $100, it's not $100. It's really $70. You really got 70. It looked like 100.
But you see it, and that fucks you up.
It's really 70. 10% for savings, 10% for investment, 10% or 20, even 20% for taxes. Kevin Hart said that. He said, when I get $1 million, I don't even look at it $1 million. I look at it, I got $500,000. He said, 500,000 of it, I just go put it in this account. My taxes are covered. My bills are covered. This is what I get to spend. Mm-hmm. And I use 70-30 rule because at the end of the day, people can't even imagine thinking to save half the money and look at half. So just say 70%. So that way, 30% of every dollar you have, you should put in an account for taxes. Put in an account, then take 10% for investing. That leaves you with 60, then take another 10% for saving. That way you can work it out that you never have to get in tax trouble. Because no one teaches you anything about taxes and what to do with the money. They show you how to spend it.
Sure do.
Buy a Bentley, get a Britland watch, and, go to travel and show everybody. But none of them tell you how they got fucked over. And when the tax man came and knocked on the door and said, hey, you owe us this amount of money, we're going to lock you the fuck up. Mm-hmm. No one hears that.
Yep.
Because all they want to see is, nah, man, he was on a private jet. You know how much a private jet costs? I don't know. You look it up, $7,600.
Not that much, yeah.
Go from here to Miami. Who paid for the jet? You did. You gave him $10,000 to teach you nothing, which you could have got off of YouTube. And it was 10 of y'all. So you gave him $100,000 for something that costs $7,000. And actually, you can get a fractional membership for $1,000 a month and fly whatever the fuck you want. Back in the day, I think they might have changed it now, but it was like,
Yeah, I don't know.
it was used to be $1,000. You could be a part. Like they'd say, hey, we got 5 people going to Miami. You can jump on, get your ass to Miami for this card, swipe the card. That's how they, started doing it. Just like Uber now, you can put like 4 people if they pick somebody else. I've never done it, but it's there, the option, right? So I always looked at what did it cost the person to do this? Mm-hmm. And then why did he do it? Why do people do these videos? Because they always say, well, if you make $1 million a month, why the fuck are you doing social media showing people all this lifestyle? Because at some point, he realized he's spending more money than he's making. And what can I do to get money to keep this lifestyle going? I know. I'm going to charge you 25 grand.
Yep.
To hang out with me. You're not going to learn shit, but you get to hang out with me and be in my video. And people go, oh, I got 25 grand. I can be famous. And I'm like, for 25 grand, you can buy a house. For 25 grand, you can invest in this, this, and this. Flip to Freedom. You can literally go to Flip to Freedom on YouTube. He has 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hour, 3 hour videos of every friggin' thing you need to do in real estate, point blank. And they literally tell you, I put everything in my videos and I just package it up and put it in my books, in my courses. Mm-hmm. Every time I go, I want to learn a subject. I go to YouTube, I type in raising capital.
All that said, though, you do see the value in different programs, courses, mentors, things like that. But you're saying that there are situations where you're really not getting your bang for your buck. Is that what your thought is?
Guidance in some shape or form. Typically, a realtor or a broker will guide you on buying a house if you find the right realtor or broker. Typically, the right wholesaler or lender, you call Ian Walsh right now and says, I got a property at 6416 Woodstock Street for $35,000. I need $50,000 for the rehab. He's going to give you the loan tomorrow. Because houses in West Oak Lane now are worth between $175 to $225, $215, give or take, depending how close to Ogons Avenue you are. 19141, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. Right? He's going to lend you the money. If you call Ian and say, Ian, I got the house on West Oak Lane for $100,000. It needs a full rehab. He's going to hang the phone up on you. Because he's not going to give you the $100,000 to put a house on the market for $225. Guess what people don't do mathematically? They don't take 10% of the $225 and say it's going to cost $25,000 in fees. So no, I didn't make $225,000. I really made $200,000, then minus the rehab costs, the holding costs, and the cost for acquisition. This is what I made, and then minus the taxes from that. So he's going to tell you before you even buy the house if it's even worth giving you the money for. Most good hard money lenders are going to say, that's not a good deal. The math don't make sense. So guidance on buying or not buying you can get from a broker, hard money lender, right? Mm-hmm. The realtor who's selling it to you, depending if you use one, or wholesaler, should have done their research about when they send you the property out. Most wholesalers who know what they're doing is going to send your property out 65 LTV, loan to value, right? The unscrupulous ones send you the house and don't give a fuck and go, it ain't even worth it, but I just got it under contract because they don't know their math.
Yeah, they don't even know.
And they blast it out and says, oh, the rehab's $25,000. And I literally looked at a deal in one of the wholesale groups, and it said the building's worth $265. They're selling the property for $145. It's a total rehab. I went, where the fuck's the money at? And they said, great deal. Copy was perfect. They said, oh, houses on the block sold for $265, and this one sold for $280. Finished base. And I'm like, did you look at the comparables and see that this is not apples to apples? This ain't even oranges to oranges. This is fucking this watermelon to this apple. The 280 was 2,000.
Come on, you're being nice. It's more like this piece of dog shit to this apple.
Oh, and you're like, what in the world?
Come on, man.
This is 2,000 square feet. This is 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
This had a finished basement.
Well,
this had an unfinished basement.
I think one of the biggest issues, though, with that happening so frequently and so massively in the wholesale industry is lack of guidance and everything, and shitty coaches or no coaches, and a lot of the free educational content that is out there about wholesaling. It makes it seem sexier than it really is, with the shiny wrapper on it that says, well, you can get into this with no money, and you see this check, you can make $20,000, you can make $40,000, $50,000 a month without spending anything. And you don't have to have a bunch of time into it. And there's not really that much to know. And it's like, there's some little glimmer of what they're saying that is true.
Oh, so
some little
small.
glimmer.
Listen, it's so fucking small. Listen, I was talking to somebody. He said, Jabbar, how many hours a day do you put into real estate? I said 4 on average, right? On average, 4 hours. But if you break it down to how many hours I've done, 10, 12. When I'm looking for properties to send a postcard to, and I'm trying to get the perfect list, and I'm trying to put the CVS correctly so that I got the labeling thing back in the day when you had to make sure that shit was lined up. Like, people don't understand how software has changed the game versus when we were doing it.
My God.
And you're trying to put the label thing in the machine so it comes out, and it comes out fucked up. And you're like, and you're moving this line over and this line over and setting this. And I'm telling people, like, y'all have no idea how many hours I spent at Coldwell Banker or at home going through trying to send a postcard out. Mm-hmm. Then I was like, screw it, I'm just going to pay them the $60, 60 cents. Because at 36 cents...
Remind me, I got to show you some of our mail equipment before you leave.
And it was just crazy because back then it was like, they sent you the postcards and this was it. They gave you the postcards and good luck. And you label each postcard, you got the list. And I was telling somebody, I was like, I would spend 20 hours one day just trying to make sure the labels are right, and then go down to the post office and then have the bulk mailer at the post office, like, this is for bulk mail. And they're like, okay. And they stamp it. And then it goes through and they give you a bill and you're like, all right, here. Yep. And then you're waiting for the phone to ring. We didn't have all the fancy services. It was just the phone rang. I had a message. I buy houses. They call. And I literally, hey, what property is that? And then I go back and look at the property, have a note, oh, John called me back. You know what I mean? I didn't have separate phone numbers for performance. Mm-hmm. Like,
things have changed.
And it's so crazy how easier it is now, but it's still, the fundamentals are always going to be the same.
The fundamentals are the same. You know, it's like, you're absolutely right. Technology has made a lot of stuff simpler, and we could go down a whole rabbit hole with technology and AI and all that stuff, but we'll have to save that for another conversation. But I think since it's made so many things so much simpler, that does, perception-wise anyway, lower that barrier to entry a little bit more. So it's like, surface level, okay, it made this task simpler, or so I can do more volume of whatever it is. But that also made it easier for everybody else too. So that change that seemingly made your task or your business easier also hurt you more than you're going to realize in the short term, you know?
Well, also, what hurts also is how many people don't know what they're doing. So I've called sellers and I'm like, your house is worth $300,000, but it's also 2,600 square feet at $81 a square foot or $71 a square foot. It's going to cost me, $200,000 to fix your house. I can get it done for $150, and you want $200,000. So where's the money in that? No, Jabbar, I need to get this. And you're like, but you're not understanding. The math says that I won't be getting my money out when I refi. Or when I sell it, I'm not going to make my money. And what people lose is that now someone calls and says, oh, your house is worth $215,000. No, your house is really worth $175,000.
Mm-hmm. It messes everything up, man, because now, even if that's not a real number, the seller is now psychologically anchored to that made up number that nobody's going to deliver on. Like, I can't tell you how many times we had a seller that went under contract with somebody else, whether it was another flipper, wholesaler, whatever, and 3-4 months later, well, yeah, that number that they gave you, now they pulled out, tried to renegotiate, whatever. But we come in and we're like, hey, 175 is the real number. And they're like, oh, well, I had this guy that offered me $215,000.
And we were under contract.
And what happened? Here we are 4 months later. You've collected no rent. The property's fallen apart. And now rates have done what they've done. They've gone up. And, now it's worth even less, right? And still, more times than not, we're not able to convert them because they have this made up number in their mind. Even though they saw, Jabbar told me, or whoever, we won't use you, shithead gave me this $215,000 number and I liked it. We tried to do the deal. It fell apart. Even though it fell apart, I still like that 215 number. And there's a big gap between 215 and 175.
I had a deal. It's a real deal. I had a deal, showed it up. I did a Facebook Live and an Instagram Live on it. I went to the property. The guys told me 225. I said, no, there's no way in the world it's worth 225. The house is worth 550, 500. but it was 3 stories, 3,600 square feet. Twin. The old cement church blocks. Not cement, stone.
Yep.
I'm looking at 15,000 on the outside already. I said, the number's really 175, 185. Jack offered 175 off the bat. He said, Jabbar, I'll take it for 175, 30 days close, no problem. He said, no. I said, all right, we got to go look at it. We go look at it. There's a hole in the middle of the floor. There's no railings. The kitchen is iron, metal. For all you people who don't know, metal kitchens are back in 1980, 1975, in that range. That's how old the kitchen was.
And they sucked to demo, man. No, I shouldn't say that. I had one metal kitchen that came apart real easy, but
so look, and they used the long nails to go into the fucking wood, and then when you're trying to get the shit out, it's been rotted so long that it damages every friggin' thing. Mm-hmm. Then the bathroom was porcelain and cement, which people don't realize. Back in the day, they would pour cement over the wood. Mm-hmm. You had a cement basin and a cement on around the walls.
5-inch wet beds, baby. Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling them, like, I remember when I told Pacheco one day I did my bedroom, and I was like, yo, the bathroom should be easy, small. He's like, Jabbar, you think it's so easy? Here's sledgehammer. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I had a chisel and a sledgehammer.
Small bathroom, man.
Couldn't get through. I was sitting there banging on it and banging on it. I'm like, oh my God.
Nope.
So he's like, yeah, we need jackhammer. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. The bathroom was 5 feet by 4 feet. I'm like, it's a toilet and a sink and a shower.
Nope.
What are we talking about? 5-inch wet bed.
Yep.
Because it was pink tile, pink and blue tile.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling the guy, like, you know that bathroom what you have right now? Someone's going to charge me $1,500 just to get the bathroom out.
Yep.
He's like, what are you talking about?
Easy.
I said, it's going to cost me $1,500 just for your bathroom, not a clean out, for them to chisel out this bathroom. You're going to charge me $7,500 for this little ass bathroom to get done. And that's just for this one. You got 3 of them. Mm-hmm. In pink, green, and the other one was all blue.
They're not that bad. Just keep them.
And I'm trying to tell him, like,
it's going to come back in style. It's going to come around.
And I'm trying to explain to him, and he had the Eagle tub. I said, and the only thing, and even that, he's like, oh, it's worth. No, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to call somebody to come get this shit out of here.
Yep.
Because I'm going to bring in a modern
tub. It's worth
tub.
scrap. That's what it's worth. Yeah.
So, and I'm walking through the house, and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, do you understand that every floor of this building is 1,200 square feet? That's a house. And every house you rehab, it costs you $100,000. 115, 125 if you got to do a finished basement. Finished basement about 15, 25 grand, depending if you got to do a French drain. He's like, no, Jabbar. I'm like, anybody who tell you is less than 85,000 is lying to you. To rehab a house and pull permits and do it the right way. They're lying to you, or they have a family member that's doing it for you.
Yep.
But for me to hire somebody, it's going to cost me $115,000 to do this property.
Yep.
This monstrosity here at 3 stories at $1,200 a floor is going to cost me per floor $50,000. And I'll be lucky if I get it done for $150. It's probably going to cost way more, like $175 for the rehab. Yep. So $175 plus $200,000 is $375. Where's the money in this deal? And don't get me all started on the holding costs that the city's backed up, so it's going to take me 3 months to get a permit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm going to be 6 months in, 6 months of interest-only payments on $200-some thousand.
Stacks up fast.
I said, at the end of the deal, when you got your check and you're home talking about, man, I sell it for too little, I'm sitting there stressing because I only made $30,000. But I risked $375. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and that's if everything goes right.
If.
We're not even talking about, while I'm doing this, a neighbor complains and says, L&I, he's working on this, and I already pulled the permits, and L&I says, stop work. We need to check something. And you're like, what you need to check? We need to check if the building's historical. I had 240 East top of Hawkins Street, $300,000 cash. They named it historical. It was 14,000 square feet on an acre, 2 acres of land. It was the only left parcel in that area that went from street to street. It had 14,000 in the front and $2,100 in the back. They made it historical. The roof was terracotta. I thought a roof was going to cost me $25,000. It cost $65,000.
That's really cheap, honestly.
Back then, all these things are...
Okay, yeah. I got you.
Back 2007, 2006, 2005.
Got it.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, the guy finished it maybe 3 years ago. He had it for over 5 years trying to do the rehab.
Damn. Yeah.
Because they named it historical.
Yeah.
He was like,
interjects every window, whole lot of complexity to it. Yep.
Every window was $1,000.
Yeah, and everything has to be approved and...
When I had the windows,
mess.
I was like, oh man, the windows would be like $325 a window. And they're like, no, you have to build every window. And there's only one or two companies that do it, and they know they're the only two companies that do it. So they charge you $1,000 a window.
Yep.
And don't let the bitch be odd shape.
Well, and then the installer also knows that it's an increased risk for him because I don't want to mess up these expensive windows. So my $150 install and labor is now double. So yeah, it compounds really quickly.
So my $250,000 budget on a $1 million home has now increased to $400,000. And my friend was like, buddy, unless you're going to live here, this don't make sense.
Yep.
And I argued with the neighbors, who I found out the one neighbor that they'll take you to what's the name, Supreme Court, because they took him to Supreme Court. He had the same kind of thing where he had like a 1-story apartment, and he was going to rent that story apartment out to veterans. I was doing the same thing because I'm thinking veterans are paying $2,800 a vet. I got 14 bedrooms. Shit.
Big money.
I'm going to make this money. We'll be all in for $500,000.
Yeah.
What's $500,000 borrowed? $3,000 a month at that time. Three plus taxes, $3,600. But we're bringing in $14,000.
Yep.
He said, good luck. I said, what do you mean good luck? The neighbor came in from across to it to the pharmacy and said, you can do a duplex. I said, who the hell's doing a duplex in 14,000 square feet? He said, you live in one floor, you rent one out. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Guess what happened when I showed up to the meeting? 13 Germans, real Germans, showed up drinking wine and said, my girlfriend tried to buy that building. How did you get it? And you should let her buy because you're not going to be able to fix it up right. I'm like, what are you talking about? We've had it for 6 months. We ain't blink. We paid cash and I'm mad. And I'm usually happy-go-lucky. And I'm mad because I'm like, they don't tell me what to do with the building we just bought. And it's the zoning.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll fight you all to the Supreme Court. And the neighbor said, they will take you to the Supreme Court, Jabbar. You're not going to win this. I'm like, they can take me wherever. I showed up with 2 white lawyers, Tom Kenny from downtown and his partner. We had paid them $3,600 to show up. We had an architect show the drawings and everything we were going to do. And them fuckers made it a historical building. That was the first thing they did. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. He's like, nope, it's on the historical books now. How'd that happen? Oh, they called it's made by some famous designer. End up having to sell the bitch to the neighbor. But no one tells you those issues or problems you can have.
Yeah, right.
Because
those are the issues and problems that I don't think anybody could tell you, right? It's like there's so much that you could never predict, even with the greatest help and the greatest mentors and knowing everything that there is to know. There's a certain level of unknown that you need to expect.
And you have to also say, what's your reserve?
Yeah.
I would tell people, like, what's your reserve? Oh, what are you talking about? You're the lender. I'm like, fuck the lender. Where's your reserves for the monthly payments?
Yeah.
Because I told somebody, I said it took a year and some change. I said, imagine paying interest only for a year and some change. And I was telling him, like, do you understand, like, you can be in a rehab for a year? You can be a rehab for 2 years, 3 years. Then what? Nah, Jabbar, I'm like, and you can't recoup the money because now the market is shrinking. What you thought the value was is shrinking. Your interest rates are going up. So as soon as you try to refi, you're stuck. And then now you're calling somebody going, like, I had a deal, I lost money on a 5-unit, I lost money on, I broke, not even, I lost money on it. And I tried to explain to somebody, like, you don't understand. I've been paying for throughout COVID, a monthly bill of interest only. So all the money I had sitting, $12,000 went to payments. Then another $12,000 went to payments. It's $24,000. While I'm trying to fix the property up, while I'm trying to pull permits, while I'm trying to fight through COVID, and it's just sitting there draining me of money. And then one day I just said, fuck, I just gotta let it go. I can't keep draining money like this because every month I got a bill.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
And then I'm like,
you heard me and Josh talking about it with one that I have when you walked in, right? It's like, really thinking about it, it's like, yeah, just in the last 18 months, like, yeah, I probably spent $50,000 on holding costs and carrying costs and everything. And it's like, it is what it is. And it's easy to justify as you're going through it. Cause it's like, I can cash flow it, you know, like I can deal with it. And when I get to it, I'll get to it. But it's like, is that a good business decision? No,
watch this.
Certainly not.
Watch this. Ask your wife what she thinks. Just take a piece of paper, write the numbers down on a piece of paper, the address, and write the monthly costs over the last 6 months and ask your wife what she thinks. And you'll get your answer. She has no emotions to that property. She'll tell you exactly what to do with it. I tell people that all the time. If you're like, oh, boy, I'm like, no, don't take my word for it. Don't take your word for it. Take a piece of paper.
I'm pretty sure I did, and I'm pretty sure she told me just sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
I just don't remember.
But I'm just saying, it's like, it's the most easy.
Yep.
It's the easiest thing to do, because what we do as men, my heart problem. I was going to die at a hospital and no one would know. Until Keisha from Quick Abstract was like, Bar, I think you should call people. The doctors are saying you might die. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. But I would have died without my son knowing, my mom, my sister, my grandmother. Everyone in my family would have known, all they would know is I died at a hospital in Roxborough. Because in my mind, I can get through this. Because as men, that's what we do. We go,
yeah, you're right.
I can get through this.
You're right.
No. At one point, someone offered me $180,000 for that building. I was in it for $125,000. I ended up selling it for $129,000. $185,000 was offered to me. In my mind, I said, it's 5 units across the street. They just built 30. They're going to build 36 units. It's going to be worth this. And every time I was in that situation, I always would go, I can get through this. Upsall Street. I had 4 quadruplexes under contract for $177,000. One of the top investment women who has like 80 doors ended up selling to her for $207,000. I said to everybody, those buildings will be worth $550,000 to $650,000. She refinanced it last year when the rates were low for $650,000. I had them for $177,000, but during COVID, I had put down $40,000 and I was paying monthly on it, and I had to sell it to her for $207,000 because now when I'm paying back to the lender, he's like, Jabbar, you know how much money you owe me? He said, in the next couple of months, you don't have a deposit. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I'm going to keep your deposit because you were supposed to close on it 6 months ago. And I was like, and I just sold it to make the $7,000 on each one versus when I originally had them, everybody was like, Jabbar, I'll give you $245,000 for these quadruplexes. They're 3,600. They're on Johnson and Upsall Street. They were twins. But everybody wanted me to take the shitty one that needed a total rehab, and they wanted to buy the 3 that were in good shape. They were on the market for $399, and I had them under contract for $177. These guys were note buyers. They bought the note, and I had it under contract for $177, which was what he owed on the property. I said, look, let's let me pay off what you owe, and I'll pay you the rest once I close out on the deal. And I'll give you whatever you want on the back end. And he was like, all right, because I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, you're losing this anyway. Let me help you. And I got it for $177. And he's like, all right, great. And they called me up and they're like, yo, you can't buy these. He don't own them no more. So what are you talking about? We bought the note and we're foreclosing on them. I think, no, what'd you buy the note for? We're not going to tell you what we got the note for, but we own the note. We're foreclosing on them. But if you want to buy them, it's going to take us a while to foreclose, get them to sign our papers. We'll pay him some money to walk away. Gave the guy $25,000 to walk away from the properties. He took the 20 or 50, whatever, but he took the money, signed over everything. They foreclosed and gave me the right to buy the property. And literally, I should have just sold 3, kept 1 because that 1 would have been free and clear. Even if it was a shitty one. Rodney Ross offered me $1,500 a month. He said, sell them to me for this number and I'll pay you $1,500 a month forever as long as I own the properties. He said, I calculated this, paying you $1,500 a month because he's like, you just want cash money, right? He's like, what are you going to make off them? I was like, pure profit, $3,600 a month. He said, yeah, about 15. He's like, look, I'll do this for you. I'm going to live in one unit, and the unit I'm going to live in, I'm going to pay you $1,500 because this is what I would normally pay to live in this big-ass 2-bedroom. And I was like, damn, should have took it. Because to this day, I'd still be getting $1,500 a fucking month. He said, in 5 years, I'm going to refinance it out or sell the properties. And I didn't take it. And this is why you need counsel. Because if someone had explained it to me in a better way who could see, except my love for, when are you going to find properties this big and 2 units each floor and they're quadruplex, they're zoned, and someone should have said, well, dumbass, we don't know when COVID's going to end. It doesn't have an ending in sight, and you're at the beginning of it. But that's why you need mentorship and counsel, because you need somebody to say, hey, Drew, you have a software that everybody can use. We pay $97 a month for FreedomSoft. We pay $97 for ProWire. We pay $97 a month to $200 a month to $400 a month for real estate software. Your software is $97 a month or $67 a month, whatever it is. Why don't you talk about it? That's what you should always do. Every video, everything, you should end up, go to www.revamp365, sign up for the software. It's free for the first 30 days, and then you'll get started billing for $97. This is what I use in my business today, what I use in my business tomorrow, what I will be using for my business. And every 30 days, we're constantly updating the software and improving on it. It's not perfect here right now, but it will be perfect. And in the next 30 days, you will get to find your first deal. I guarantee it.
Boom. That's even better when you say it. I like that a whole lot better than me saying it. But no, you're right. And you did inspire me to post a little bit more. Still not every day in every way and making every message about that. And like we talked, I think a big piece of that for me is an internal flaw that I have that, you know, I don't like to really release anything until it's like well polished.
Right.
But I also know with software or anything in that realm, there's definitely a very real thing of never releasing because you just want to make improvement after improvement after improvement. So we have released, I have put it out there, and I have had people tell me revamp365.io, not .com, revamp365.io. And look, the entire premise of it, like I told you, I developed it mostly because it's something that I wanted as an investor, as a flipper, as a landlord. It's something that I wanted, even running a wholesale company and generating all the off-market leads that I do. Like when I was buying a lot of stuff off the MLS, I wish that there was a better way to just sift down and only look at the couple properties that actually might make sense for me, right? And that's the only backlash that I've gotten so far is like, our estimates aren't as good as they need to be. It's like, you're missing the point. The point is not to have super accurate ARVs or anything. The point is to whittle down a list of 10,000 properties down to 10 to 20 that are in the neighborhood that you want to be in, that are the type of property that you want to buy, and you can look at and analyze those 10, because at the end of the day, the price that a property is listed for, if it's on the MLS, is just a suggested starting point anyway,
right.
You know? So I've obviously gone really deep into the data and analytics and every which way.
But that's your catch line, UPS, unique selling position. How to make the MLS better. Save time and money. Time is the most valuable thing you have. And with Revamp 365, you don't have to look at 10,000 properties. All you have to do is look at 10. Mm-hmm. You can set it and forget it. And what we'll do for you is stop wasting your time looking at these properties, stop wasting your time, and we're going to give you some average comps. They're not perfect, but they're better than what you can expect from our competitors. Go to 365.io and get your time back.
Boom. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I just haven't even done it, you know, because
I just did it for you.
I know you did it for me.
Right now,
we're just going.
Take the voice.
This whole episode, we're throwing it all out. We're just chopping that little piece.
Yeah, I mean, but that's it's part of as an IS major, right? I deal with how people interact between software and computers.
Yep.
How you do. Most people don't care about the comps you give because they don't believe you.
Yep.
They're going to do their own comps, and they're still going to
That's the
use.
thing. It doesn't even matter.
They're still going to use the MLS
matters
to comp your comp.
Exactly.
I've sent comps out, and I put the address, the size, finished basement, not finished basement. Here's the pictures. Boom.
Yep.
Jabbar, man, I was running my comps, and I'm like, what are you looking at?
Yep.
Then I'm arguing because they want to give me a low ball offer.
And that's the thing. Like, my perspective is obviously very biased over the years and hundreds of conversations that I've had with different buyers, different developers, different wholesalers, whatever. Like, in my mind, ARV is totally subjective. There is no correct ARV, right? It's like, you know how it works, man. You can send a property to 10 different people and you get an ARV from one guy that's 250 and another guy that's 450 and everything else in between. and none of them are wrong, right? Because the one guy that's thinking 450 is like, oh, well, it's a 2-story right now. I'm going to rip it off. I'm going to do 3-story with a roof deck in the city. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have the basement with fucking 12-foot ceilings or whatever. And he's going to get that 450 ARV. He's going to spend a lot more than the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
But the other guy that's on the way low end that's saying 250, it's because he's going to go in there and literally spackle over the fucking hole that's been in the ceiling for the last 10 years with the leak, and he's going to just slap the whole thing together. So he's not wrong either, you know?
And you're arguing with both of them, and they believe
It's not
everything.
worth it. Yeah, because
you're
they
just like,
have
look,
their own
here's what I
cost,
want.
they have their own vision.
Here's what I want for it. Make an offer.
Yep.
They're like, I said, we don't got to argue. Give me an offer,
That's it.
and that's it. Do your own research. But that's what I mean. You got to definitely, I'm going to be sweating because I'm,
Nah, no.
I take a lot of pills, water pills too.
I think we're in here so late. I think the AC like turned up or something, man. It's brutal.
But yeah.
But so if people want to find you to have your help in finding deals or counsel on deals or anything like that, how should they reach out to you?
Just my name, Jabbar Fairweather. You can Google me.
Google you.
You go to Instagram, you go to Twitter, you go to
I'm
Facebook.
Googleable.
You can Google me. So Jabbar Fairweather, Fairweather. I'm always on social media. I'm always on my Instagram. You can DM me. You can get with me. My cell phone number is 267-975-6801. Text me. That's my cell. And people text me. Just text me, hey Jabbar, I heard your podcast. I want to see if we can get together. Text me your full name, your email. And I've been doing this for 26 years. So for me, being around since 1996 is crazy, but it's been fun. You know what I mean? Experience and happening and doing things. I'm not someone who just talk shit on the radio or whatever, or wherever you want to hear me from. I'm a person who's actually done everything myself, laid floors, laid tile, kitchens, cabinets. I've flipped houses, bought properties, bought rentals. I do everything in sales and marketing, and I believe AI is going to be the next big thing, which
That's
I'm working on.
going to have to be our next conversation.
Yeah, listen, I'm working on Jabbar.ai right as we speak. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? AI is going to be cool because what I try to tell people, what I hate college was when I was at Drexel, they'd be like, give me 20 pages. For what? We got to write a thesis. Why got to be 20 pages? I'd bring the professor 5 pages. He's like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, my thesis. He's like, it's only 5 pages. I'm like, why do you got to be 20? Or they want 10 pages. I think AI is definitely cool because you could then tell it what you want. Still got to go through it, but it gave you a nice, good framework to work off of. And now I have my 20 pages. I go in, I type in what I need to change to make it sound more like me. But even now, you can enter your personality into it, and it's going to come out sounding like a Jabbar, which is the crazy part. But it's all coming together where in the next 6 months to a year, it's going to be totally different. It would be not Drew standing here having this conversation. It'll be an AI image because I've seen it.
Ooh.
And it'll be like, is that really Drew? No, it's just AI animated thing.
I don't know that in 6 to 12 months we'll have that in person. Will there be the deepfake video technology that's readily available? 100%.
It is coming.
But we're going to have to sit down and have a conversation about that because I love technology. I love systems. I love all that stuff and everything. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on what's in front of them and the changes that are going to come as a result of that. So we'll leave with that cliffhanger.
Awesome, man.
Jabbar, I appreciate you, brother.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Boom.
On the crypto, on the blockchain.
Are they really?
Yeah.
No crap.
Remember Florida, you
know
could
that.
close in one day. So they're starting to experiment with.
Really?
Yeah, because you can't change it.
Huh. Okay.
So one of the title companies started to record it in Ethereum.
No crap.
Think about it. If I record a deed on Ethereum blockchain, it'll never disappear.
True.
Right?
True.
No one can no one can try to steal it. No one can do anything with it because it's recorded here. Anytime they try to move it or do anything, they're gonna have to, one, have your permission because you put fail safes in there, and they got to pay the fee to move it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't pay the fee, they can't move it.
Weren't there a couple counties in the last few years? I know Delco got hacked by some hacker that wanted to be paid in Bitcoin. I think they were held hostage for like 45 days or something.
Oh, yeah, but they
ended up paying out. Like they paid the hacker whatever he wanted, because it's 500 grand in Bitcoin, ridiculous.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it's crazy. Hold on, let me. All right, guys, we're gonna start talking. Make sure you see us. It's live. Peace.
Boom.
But the biggest thing is, the hospitals got hacked. Remember the hospital got hacked?
No, I don't remember the hospitals.
It was a hospital in the news that got hacked.
No crap.
And it was like
That's a little bit more sketchy.
Oh, it was a huge hospital. And the hackers wanted like 1.7 million or $2 million.
It's like, that's fucked up. That's some heartless hacking right there, man.
Oh.
At least to hold up a county, it's like it was frustrating as hell because we couldn't close deals. You know, like,
listen,
a bunch of settlements get pushed out. But at the end of the day,
right, it wasn't a hospital.
Not a hospital. That's messed up.
But here's the thing: if they had did it on Bitcoin, it wouldn't happen. Can't hack Bitcoin. Bitcoin has never been hacked. You can hack systems, but you can't hack Bitcoin. There's like a $3.6 million bounty if you can hack Bitcoin.
Who do you think started Bitcoin? That's a great way to start this episode.